Long known as the place to settle rivalries in NASCAR, the legendary paperclip has seen its fair share of drama over the years, and with the runner-up trophy and the pro team points heating up between Evolve Sim Sports and the Forge PC Racer Pro 1 teams, we're expecting some fireworks tonight from our Major Series America's Region drivers. Who will smash their heats and survive the A-Main to take the crown? And who will go home in tears long before it's over? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the Virginia is for Lovers 300, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Adam Lindgren, and joining me in the booth tonight is Chris Scala. Behind the scenes is our director, Joe Peak, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The shortest track on the Pro NASCAR calendar, Martinsville, has a storied reputation. And to find out how it got that reputation, let's take you down to our track guide.
Welcome to a piece of racing history. The Martinsville Speedway in South Central Virginia opened before NASCAR was even founded, and it is one of the sport's original tracks. Its paperclip shaped half mile has grown from a dusty pioneer to a beautiful racing facility. Going off of the paperclip nickname, Martinsville is two 12-degree banked corners attached to two 800-foot-long straights. Getting out of these corners is all about managing the rear tires sliding around. It often feels like you're coming out of a valley as you head on to the straights. Martinsville is very much a rhythm-based racetrack though, some even referring to it as a rocking chair. You get that sensation because you want to feel the front of the car slam down under braking and then lift back up under acceleration. Making things even more complicated is the fact that the track is only 55 feet wide. Down in the corners, you'll find that yellow curb. It's elevated off the track by several feet, and if you catch it with those left side tires, you're bound to grab a handful of steering wheel. All of the action isn't on the track, however. The pit road that starts in the entry to Turn 3 and exits out of Turn 2 is only 46 feet wide itself, making pit road under caution look like a circus. Martinsville is not a track that you can rest on your laurels at. Always on top of the wheel is the name of the game. The drivers that do that best find themselves with a grandfather clock trophy. The fans come from all over, the drivers come from all over, even internationally, to race at the hallowed grounds. So settle in, buckle up, it's bound to be a great race.
Well, Chris, we heard a little bit about the legends of the Martinsville Speedway, but why don't you talk to us about how these drivers are going to tackle the late model around here?
Well, it's going to be a very tricky event here that these guys have to tackle. This track obviously is it is the original track on the real life NASCAR schedule. It was on the first schedule in 1949. It was a dirt track at that time. Now it is asphalt straightaways and concrete corners. And that is basically because on the corners, the cars were digging up the asphalt. So they've had concrete over in the corners this whole entire time on this track. Now, the late model is not as powered as a traditional, say, Cup car or Xfinity car or something like that. So you're going to see less speeds in the corners, which means they're going to be able to carry speed into the center. So because of that, you're going to see a lot of side-by-side racing. You're going to see a lot of drive-off and a lot of tire problems potentially in this race. And what I mean by that is where. If we get into a long run in this race on this track that's just a little over a half mile long, 12 degrees banked in the corners, these tires are going to create side-by-side racing and create issues where cars are going to slide up the track or get loose on entry, maybe wheel hop a little bit. Yes, that's a road course term. We're using that as short track. Lots of possibilities for things to happen. This track is not easy. When you have drag strip straightaways and paperclip corners or whatever you want to call it, Martinsville in a nutshell is that kind of track. It is a favorite of a lot of drivers, and it's one that we'll enjoy watching tonight.
Absolutely. And speaking of enjoying watching tonight, we're going to enjoy watching some of the battles for the points championship, starting out with the pro drivers standings. Christian Challoner and Tom Evermight is very securely in positions 1 and 2 with the meager turnout tonight. But Brenton Foster ahead of Justin Morton by only 40 points. So that is something to keep your eyes on. Mega Racing Team could lose that third position to Justin Morton if he can have a good night tonight. Andrew Waring down in 5th position, about 50 points back of Morton, still trying to cling to that position with Ozzie Milwayne very close behind. Nathan Dowd only about 30 points back of that. Then we got Kevin Hill from Evolve Sim Sports, only about 15 points back of Nathan Dowd. Nick Ottinger has not been doing super great over the last couple of rounds, sitting back in the 9th position, and then Travis Warling down with the Ulux Lola team back in 10th. But Chris, back to you for the sportsman standings.
Yeah, sportsman standings got a pretty tight race up there at the top with David Gargaro Jr. leading the points over his teammate Nathan Medina by 44. It's a little bit of a gap back to 3rd and 4th where there's another tight battle going on. As a matter of fact, let's throw 5th in there. Also, Maurice Gomillion, Cody Richardson, and Andrew Kotska all within 12 points of each other there. And, of course, all the way down to Deloche, Buchanan, and I believe it's Homan there in the 10th position, 397 points back. A lot of tight battles within positions and still plenty of time to get those.
Absolutely. We got the America's Legends series with the Kevin Hill up there with a 141-point lead. That's pretty secure tonight with Brian Barnes in that 2nd position. Wayne Hutchison not too far behind, 50 points back. Still within reach, but Brian McGreevy more in reach of Wayne Hutchison in 4th. Ray Parcher is going to be quite a ways back, and that's pretty spread out from there on back all the way down to 10th with Adam Plunkett. But yeah, the Legends standings pretty tight between 2nd and 5th, but not much beyond that. But let's talk about the Legends sports standings, Chris.
Yeah, Legend Sports is pretty much a two-man show right now at the top with Maurice Gomillion and the lead. Robert Deloche is only 68 back, and there's a really big gap back to 3rd, and the driver Brian Shrivener in 3rd there with Stephen Polisson and let's see, Ernie Ludwig there in the 5th position. He's got a tight battle. Roger Shank there in the 6th position, and then from there it's actually pretty tight from 7th down to 10th with McSparran, Redeker, Covey, and Dolson, your top 10.
And then we go to the America's Pro Teams with Mega Racing Team leading by 1,300 points, pretty securely in that top position. But look at 2 and 3, only separated by 49 points there. Evolve Sim Sports and Ford's PC Racer Pro. This is a team's championship, so lots of points in play here tonight, and that could definitely change hands. Everyone else is pretty well spread out over the course of that series, so let's go to the sports team standings.
Yeah, sports teams obviously got some decently close battling going on, especially maybe 1st through 3rd with the amount of drivers on each team. Mad Sim Racing leading by 173 over the Ford's PC Racer Sport 1. But my eyes immediately go down to that 4th and 5th and then 6th and 7th place battles. Less than 40 points separating Udox Frank with Haller Racing and then Dog Bear White with High Class Racing. So those are some pretty tight battles there. And then the 8th and 9th battles pretty tight. Between Evolve Sim Sports Academy and Sector 5 Racing. So plenty of great battles still yet to go to settle these spots out.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of race details to go over, so let's get those started. We've got the Chevy Monte Carlo SS here today with round 12 of 14 for this major series. They're going to be doing 2 heats right now, following a 4-lap qualifying that sets the grid for those heats. And the 2 heats are 25 laps each, featuring a maximum of 13 drivers, and all the drivers will transfer to our A main that is 200 laps. And they're going to have 3 sets of tires total for that race, so the one they start on and 2 more in the pits. And remember, with iRacing's new rules here at the ovals, with the race start, a pole sitter may not go before the green flag. We've seen that catch out drivers in both international and European splits. A 26 incident limit for these drivers and 1 spare car complements the open setups for these drivers today, so very complicated. Now, before we get going into our qualifying session in just about a minute here, I want to make sure to mention our sponsor. You want to make sure and check out the Majors Garage. They're home of free Baseline Plus setups. You want to get help from any of the garage coaches? Well, they're around 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more by simply clicking on our link in the description below. Also, if you see our special discount code MajorsGSRC, you'll get 10% off. We also have a charity that we're using for this round. That is Stack Up, and founded in 2015, Stack Up brings both veterans and civilian supporters together through a shared love of video games using programs such as the Stacks, Supply Crates, Air Assaults, and Stack Up Overwatch program. To learn more, check out the link in the description below. Well, Chris, we're about to head into qualifying, and how important is qualifying going to be for setting you up well for a heat tonight?
Oh, qualifying is going to be huge. Track position is going to be the name of the game this evening. You want to be up towards the front because a lot of the action happens usually mid-pack in this kind of race. So you want to get out there. You're going to have 4 laps to qualify. So you want to get out there and lay your best lap down, and that likely should come in the later part. Now, lap 4, maybe you might see a little bit of fall off, but I would expect lap 2 and 3 to be the faster laps for these cars because of the tire build.
Well, Andrew Waring and Christian Challoner and Ozzie Milwain are top 3 for the practice sessions tonight. And so we'll see whether or not they can retain that going into our qualifying session. Currently 4 p.m. virtual standard time at the close of practice. As we reset for qualifying, it's going to be a little bit later in the day for these drivers, and that's going to be affecting their time off the track. Looks like it's going to be quite cloudy for this qualifying session, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of grip on the track, and I see the sweepers did not go out before qualifying. We've already got a lot of, should I use the road course term, clag on the track, but a lot of marbles out there, so that's going to play a big role here. If you get offline, which I'm watching some of the cars already using a diamond type of run to get off of turn 4, I think that's going to more hurt them right now than it will help them with the rubber on the track, but it's going to be very tough once you get offline to keep this car straight and to keep it under control. But it's like I said, there's a lot of factors right now in play for this race.
Absolutely. Taking a look at Ryan Steele, who's coming around to set his first flying lap. A 20.391 puts him in the first position. Brent Kirby, Tom Abramitis goes actually to the top of the board by about 7/100ths of a second. And then Nathan Dowd right in behind him, but Christian Challoner, another 7/100ths ahead of Tom Abramitis as well. So very, very interesting to see who's coming to the top of the 4 here. Christian Challoner is actually going to reset and go on a second single lap stint, Chris. Interesting strategy.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea either, because now you waste lap 2, you come back to the green at lap 3, which could be another fast lap. So not a bad idea on that end either.
So Ozzie Milwain yet to set his first flying lap. He's going to come across the line and set a 20.291 for Ozzie. It's going to be good enough for 5th position. Very tight up there for the lead, for the pole position. The top 3 under 1/10 and the top 10 under a quarter of a second for these drivers. Tom Abramitis doing good enough to go into the 4th position, but Christian Challoner bumping Matthew Thunhorst back into the provisional pole position.
Very simple to do, or not very simple to do, I should say, but a very easy thing to do if you can hit your marks is to you'll get out there and run a qualifying lap to put yourself up there in the front. But it's very easy also to do is to overdrive and then underdrive this kind of track. This track is all about rhythm. Most short tracks are rhythm. If you can get out here and know your marks and get back to the throttle as quick as you can by hitting your marks every time, you will run consistently fast laps, and that also allows times to be as close as they can here when you have good setups like this. I mean, you got a 17, as you mentioned, an 18, a 19, two 24s up there. Now a 16 going to the top.
Ozzie Milwain straight up to the top of the provisional pole standings by 8/1000ths of a second over Christian Challoner. I don't think Challoner's going to have anything to answer that. Here's Justin Morton, our lone on board tonight. Justin Morton trying to improve his... Oh, looks like he's going to lose it right there. A little bit of a laugh as we put the pressure on. Of course, commentators curse.
I'm wondering how he's resetting with a VR at his eyes. Where's that button at? It's over here somewhere.
Always a hard time finding that button, especially when it's on a moving wheel. But Joey Haynes pulling off there just a little bit. Jeff Schmeier goes fast enough to go into 9th position, so a good 4th lap for Jeff.
Challoner back to the top.
Challoner back up to the top, as you said, so a great lap for Challoner. 16/1000ths of a second ahead of Ozzie Milwain. A 20.148 is the bar for the rest of the drivers who have yet to set their final laps.
Yeah, I see a lot of cars again going to the top side, which kind of surprises me with all the rubber up there, but in a realistic world, that would not be a good thing. But here on iRacing, you can get that run off the corner, make the straightaways longer, and allows you to carry speed into turn 1 and 2. But again, it's still about hitting your marks. You don't want to lock up the tires as you watch Brian Halleck here down the back straight. When he hits your marks again, watch for tire lockup because he's going to send it into a deep. Look at the back end, wash out.
Yep, absolutely washed out for him. Took it in too deep there, a little bit too much rear brake bias, possibly skipping the, possibly having some wheel hop going into that corner as well. Oh, Waring up to the top of the charts. He beats out Challoner by 15/1000ths of a second.
Wow. Makes you wonder if we might have to go to a flat or something to get a pole here. Does anybody got anything left here? Got about 50 seconds left. Kevin Hill out here on track now as we see.
Brian Halleck looks like he's parked, so Kevin Hill's the last one who might have an opportunity to pip this away. Looks like the track continuing to develop. He's going to exit the final corner, entering his 4th lap. He crosses the line with
23.
a 20.3, so that does jump him up to 6, but he's going to park it here. That's going to be it for our qualifying, Chris.
Wow. That was entertaining to watch, and as per Martinsville and short track usual, We got everybody on top of another when it comes to qualifying times. That's why I say track position is key around Martinsville.
So the heats will be set with Andrew Waring on pole for the for the heat tonight. So a great job for him to jump up there and beat Christian Challoner out. So it's going to be really interesting to set these heats and to see what happens here. But our first heat is set. It looks like it's going to be Andrew Waring on pole for the first heat, with Ozzie Milwane in second. Joey Haynes is going to line up in the third position, with Brandon Proudfoot in fourth, Justin Morton in fifth position, and Jeff Schmeier in sixth, Chris.
Yeah, looking at the bottom part of the grid here, as you mentioned, Schmeier there in the sixth position. We've got Nathan Dowd going to start inside row 7, row 4, I should say, alongside Wayne Hutchinson, Justin Kirby, Ryan Steele. They will round out your top 10. And what we got, looks like 2 more positions here, Brian McGreevy and Jason Wallat. Now, did Wallat come back? Because I noticed sorry, I got the wrong names here. Kinchlow and Powers. I was looking over at the second heat race, so I'm ahead of myself. But Kinchlow and Powers going to start there in 11th and 12th.
So you mentioned how Martinsville was, these short tracks are all about rhythm and how the rhythm, you want to get a good early launch off the corner for the qualifying. But how does that change when you go into a heat race? Especially, how does that change when you go into the feature tonight?
Well, believe it or not, the heat races are 25 laps long. And you're like, okay, that's going to take literally a couple minutes to do. 25 laps on a track like Martinsville with the way the tire wear is going to play a role. If you go out there guns blazing on the first couple laps, you're going to wear your tires out really quickly. So what you want to do is get out here and just run as many laps. You don't have to worry about missing the field. All it does is put yourself in a starting position. So this is almost, if you will, if you're towards the middle pack or maybe even the back of this heat race, yeah, you want to try to get what positions you can get, but at the same time, go ahead and get into your rhythm now so that when you get the green flag coming up here in just a little bit, you're ready to go and already know what your car is going to give you when you're out there on the track.
Absolutely. And for those eagle-eyed viewers of you noticing the paint jobs, we have Evolve 1 through 3 starting off this heat with Brandon Proudfoot, the lone forged driver, down in that fourth position. So very interesting starting positions for these drivers, especially for the hotly contested teams championship. Now remember, everyone's going to go through to the main. It's just this is going to help determine the grid for the main, and track position is important around Martinsville.
It is very important here. We get 2 pace laps as per usual here. Looks like the track cleaned up a little bit. I still do see a lot of marbles on the outside. I see a lot on the curving there on the inside. So that's going to play a role when it comes to getting to the bottom as quick as you can. Now, maybe on a starter or restart here, you'll be able to maybe fight for a lap or so, but I would get to the bottom as quick as possible.
Drivers trying to heat up those rear tires, make sure they have enough grip on the exit of turn 2 to get a good run down that back straightaway. But pace car rounding the second corner, going to pull off into the pit lane here very shortly, and that's going to not free up Andrew Waring to take the green whatever he would like. He has to take it at the flag stand. So we are waiting for the green flag to be flown by the iRacing official. So coming around the final corner, Andrew Waring in a good lead over Ozzie Milwane. Waiting even longer. There we go. Off we go. Andrew Waring with a good launch. Ozzie Milwane also with a good launch on the outside. Gonna hold strong on the outside as we go through turns 1 and 2. It's Waring off of Milwane with Joey Haynes and Proudfoot side by side.
Good teammate work there. Haynes is going to actually let his teammate there get in front of him. So you're going to see 1, 2, 3 teammates right there in the front in the battle on for third there.
Absolutely. It's Proudfoot on the outside of Joey Haynes. Haynes not looking strong on the inside right now. Looks like it's still a little slick down there. Proudfoot building up a second line on the high side, able to get some decent power down, but the marbles starting to hold him up a little bit on corner exit. Looks like Joey Haynes came back at him a little bit on the exit there.
Oh, got loose right there. I was going to, he's loose. Whoa.
Manages to save it, does Brandon Proudfoot. He's going to try and dive down to the bottom line, but gets clipped by the 30. He's going to go around, and that's going to be a caution. It was Jeff Schmeier that clipped him.
That's when bad gets worse, unfortunately, as we go look at the GSRC replay here. Just simple, hard racing here. He's trying to hold that outside line as much as he can Going into turn 3, gets loose up there in the marbles, which, like I said, after about a lap or so, you kind of got to give it up and get to the inside lane. It gets loose there, and it finds a little hole in there, but as you mentioned, that inside car said, no, it's my lane, and they got into each other. Just unfortunate Martinsville racing right there for you.
Absolutely. That was Jeff Schmeier saying, you know what? I'm not letting you in. Your rear tires are going to be hot. You're going to slow me down off the corner. So that was Justin Morton in the 9 who dived down to the low side. And then Jeff Schmeier says, no, this is my lane, and puts the nose to him.
Now, I think for this situation, Proudfoot I would come in and get tires here. I mean, go ahead. I mean, the tire allotment you have tonight does not affect you in the heat race at all. So go in here, get yourself a set of tires. You're going to restart 12th. And know that at least you're on even ground now and you don't have 2 overheated tires or even flat spotted, if you will.
Absolutely. So an early caution here as a very defensive move from Schmeier on to Proudfoot, sent Proudfoot around. Nobody else was involved, no damage for any of these drivers, but Brandon Proudfoot looking to be lining up on the back row for the feature race. He does come in for that pit stop, as you mentioned, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, you got nothing to lose right now. You've already unfortunately lost 8 spots. You're back in the tail end of the field now, so just go get a set of tires, take a deep breath, and just be patient here. Yes, you're only going to have about 18 or so laps to go when you get this green flag, but you still got some time to gain some of that track position back. I mean, is a top 5 finish out of the answer? No. I mean, these guys could go out here and get wild and it turn into a little bit of a wreck fest, and he work his way into the top 5. So very interesting to see what happens here in this the last 18 laps here of this race.
It is always phenomenal to see short track racing and the differences between short track racing and longer tracks. I mean, that kind of a move from the 30 of Jeff Schmeier to hold his line down there with just a nose in, that's not something you do around 1.5 miles because it'd just be too dangerous for both of you. But as they line up double file, just the natures of short track racing. So as we get ready to go racing again, it's Andrew Waring with Ozzie Milwane in second, Justin Morton in third, Joey Haynes in fourth, and Jeff Schmeier lining up at the 5th position. The pace car is going to pull off, and now Andrew Waring will lead them to the line. It's on whenever he would like to go within the start zone. So the rules have now changed. We've gone through that initial start, and now it is on Andrew Waring to get this thing going. Does he play the team game, or does he go when he feels led? He goes immediately in the start zone. A good launch over Ozzie Milwane, who pulls down in front of his teammate, Joey Haynes. Justin Morton on the high side, trying to make it work.
I think Morton needs, the next time they have a restart like this, get to the bumper of the outside car, because I kind of had a feeling it was going to be an early restart there. But great job, great teamwork. And again, battle on here for third. Morton's going to give it up here, I think, and fall in line, which it looks like everybody except one car that got the wall there. It looks like Kinchlow got the wall.
Kinchlow catches the wall just a little bit, but still going. Looks like we got him still on the outside. Everyone else single file, though. It's looking really slippery out there tonight, Chris. These drivers really struggling with rear end grip on the exit of the corners.
Well, that's because the tire's not up to temp yet. We only got, 3/4 of a lap of green flag racing, so you're trying to get the tires up to temp. Once they do, you're going to have max grip coming off the corners. It's going into the corners where you got to be very careful here, because as tires start to wear, obviously you're going to get, somebody got the wall again there, but you're going to see cars basically almost wheel hopping or losing the back end as they enter the corner.
That was Lynn Kinchlow hitting the outside wall again, now with some right rear damage that hopefully won't be affecting him around here at the short track, but back up to the lead. Andrew Waring leading over his teammates Ozzie Milwane and Joey Haynes. Evolved Sim Sports drivers doing an excellent job holding on to the front of this field. Joey Haynes is playing rear gunner for his other 2 Evolved teammates, with Justin Morton, the Forge driver, in hot pursuit.
Yeah, another reason you kind of mentioned is we ride on board with, I think it's Milwane we're on board, or no, it's the leader we're on board with Waring. One thing about these short tracks, you talked about comparing them to up caution on track. We got
Lynn Kinchlow,
I think. Yep.
Yeah, Kinchlow was looking very loose this entire run, and so he's now spun around, bringing out our second caution of the day and our second of Heat 1 as well. Let's see what happened here. Let's see whether this was involved with another driver. And it looks like maybe a little bit of contact in the turn one.
Something broke, it looks like, on his car. Traction.
Yes, traction broke, absolutely. Gonna take a look at it from the helicopter shot and see what happened here. That's Rob Powers tucked in behind him. You can see just how loose the 44 of Kinchlow is. Dives it down towards the inside line. The car just doesn't go.
Yeah, he's just obviously got a loose race car there. I'm sure the couple shots to the right side of that car didn't help. You saw the rear spoiler bent, obviously loosening up that car. So going into entry, if you drive it too deep, which we were starting to talk about a little bit, it'll easily bring this car around. It's just he's got to take a deep breath, realize this is just a heat race, go get the damage fixed. I know there's a reset in the race, so there might be one, I believe, also for them in this heat race.
Correct.
Just take a deep breath, get out there and just run laps right now. Get back into a rhythm, and he should be okay. So plenty of time.
And Kinchlow does, in fact, expend that spare vehicle for this heat race, and is going to take some tires and is back out on track. So Brandon Proudfoot, speaking of him and how he went around early, he's made it up to the 10th position. So in that 220 machine, good moves for him to get up into that 10th position in that short amount of time. But we're almost done with this heat race, Chris. 15 laps in the can, another 10 to go.
Yeah, and most of these guys look like they're just kind of settled in, just getting through this race. Yeah, you want to get what you can get, but at the same time, this track is, getting more and more. It's getting cooler, as you saw a few minutes ago, the track temps and stuff out there on the screen. The track is going to continue to go down temp-wise. I mean, right now we're just past or just before 4:30 on sim time, which is on the East Coast here in Martinsville. So basically, you're going to see the sun going down somewhere probably around 8 o'clock or so. 7:30, 8 o'clock Eastern time on the sim itself. It's obviously already dark on the east side, but the track's going to get cooler throughout. Yes, it's going to produce more grip, but at the same time, what does more grip do? It dares you to go drive it deeper into the corner and will lead you to spin out on worn tires. So you just got to be very careful here, but at the same time, just continue to learn.
So Kinchlow back in the pits as the pace car is about to pull off. Andrew Waring from Ozzie Milwain, Justin Morton, Joey Haynes, and Jeff Schmeier. No changes in the top 5 as we go back to this restart. Andrew Waring will lead them to the line again. His prerogative on when he goes within the start zone.
He's gonna
See
go
what
early.
he picks this time.
I think he'll go early with his teammate there behind him.
And that is exactly what he does. Milwain picks it out really well, though. He's going to be in a really good position to drop down right ahead of Joey Haynes. Morton, though, trying to make it work on the outside. But look at that. That was Joey Haynes who actually drifted up just a little bit on the exit of the corner. The front tires not giving as much purchase on the exit as he would like. Morton hanging strong on the outside.
Now, if you're Haynes on the bottom, you kind of want to push Morton up in mid-corner here to try to get the exit off. If he gets the opportunity to, and actually Morton's going to back it off and almost now put himself into a spot where he's got to battle for 4th. He gets a good drive off, though.
Absolutely. So it's single file for all the drivers down to Ryan Steele in 9th position. Ryan currently on the outside of Justin Kirby and Brandon Proudfoot as we ride on board, looking back from Justin Morton in that 4th position as he's just trying to hold position now. 4th puts him in the 4th row for the main, so I'll put him around 7th or 8th.
Very interesting. I'm always, when I see these onboard cameras like you're seeing Morton right now, and how people hold the wheel and how they drive. Morton has his arms out there a little bit, like he's kind of extended out. Like some people like to have, like if you ever watch Brett Keselowski, he's the first one that comes to my mind. When you watch him race his car, I mean, he can almost kiss the steering wheel. It's in front of him. Where Morton, he's got his arms way out there. It's kind of cool to see everyone's prerogative with that kind of deal.
Dale Jr. with his unique over the arm position for driving the super speedways. So everyone's got a different way of driving the car, and Morton a little bit more of an extended arms position. I've seen that in a couple of the F1 drivers as well.
That was actually a Mark Martin deal. You're talking about the junior deal. He actually adapted that from Mark Martin.
Oh, man, I miss Mark Martin so much. But back up to the front, Andrew Waring leading Ozzie Milwain and Joey Haynes, the top 3 Evolve Sim Sports drivers. Justin Morton still trying to put pressure on to Joey Haynes. The only battle on track right now is between Ryan Steele and Lynn Kinchlow, both of them extremely loose, in fact, bouncing off of the wall on the exit of 2.
Yeah, that 44 car making a nice pass right there. 12's going to settle in, but Kinchlow making the best that he can. Again, he's got that new car to use. Go out here and learn a little bit now, because you got less than 10 laps to go, less than 5 laps to go, and get what you can get knowledge-wise and take it out to that main event.
Looking back at Justin Morton, if he's trying to put pressure onto those Evolve Sim Sports drivers as a Forged PC Racer Pro 1 driver himself, trying to get his team points increased for the night, trying to get a better starting position for that A main. A little tight off of the corner for Andrew Waring up there as we're on the penultimate lap, turning into turns 3 and 4. Andrew Waring will take the white flag for the heat this time by.
Yeah, I'm watching Morton, seeing if he's able to get that run back here for third. I've raced with Morton before. He's a good racer, and I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a move here on this 99 if he gets the opportunity to. I don't see a bump and run or anything happening here.
Trying to put the power down. Andrew Mooring, though, looking very, very clean and secure for the win of this heat. He's going to come off the final corner and take it home. Andrew Mooring's going to take the win of Heat 1 with Ozzie Milwain second, Joey Haynes third, Justin Morton fourth, and Jeff Schmeier fifth, as they were for pretty much most of the race.
Yeah, good race in there. Obviously, good time to learn. Obviously, the inside road now is set for the race, but you know the old we can call it the duels, the reference in real life here. You know what they always say when those races come up, right? If the first one's clean.
Well, we'll find out. We definitely have some hungry drivers in that second split. You're seeing the race results on screen right now. Sixth going to Wayne Hutchison, seventh Nathan Dowd, Justin Kirby in eighth, and Brandon Proudfoot able to climb up to ninth. Lynn Kinchlow able to make his way up to 10th position, with 11th going to Ryan Steele and Rob Powers in 12th. But that takes us to heat number 2. We've got Christian Challoner on the pole for that one, with Matthew Thunhorst in second and Kevin Hill in third. Tom Abramitis rounds out row 2 with Travis Worling and Brian Halleck on row 3, Chris.
Yeah, Ray Partridge, he'll take the inside of row number 4 alongside Brenton Foster. Brian Barnes and Brent Kirby will start there in the 10th position, and the final 2 spots on the grid go to Brian Greavy and Jason Wallet in the 12th position.
So while we had Evolve Sim Sports up at the front of the previous heat, we've got Christian Challoner in the Mega Racing Team car with Matthew Thunhorst alongside him for Forge. Kevin Hill in the 3rd position. He's Evolve Sim Sports. Then we got Tom Abramitis, another Mega Racing Team driver, in the 5th position with Travis Worling tucked into the 6th spot. He is part of the Unorthodox team, so very surprising. Much more variety up at the front of the field for this split.
Absolutely. And you know the teams are helping each other. If you were in that first race, you're sharing notes right now. Hey, this is what this car did. This is what I felt at this point in the race and how I was able to drive the car. So expect those notes to be shared here as we come to the green flag and see some just different types of racing maybe potentially here. I would not be surprised to see maybe a little more aggression in this race as you know, these guys had to sit there for roughly 10 minutes or so for that other race to end. So I know these guys are probably rear back and ready to go.
Absolutely. And remember, Christian Challoner has to wait until the flag man waves the green flag before he can go. So it's going to be a fair fight between Challoner and Thunhorst for the initial start of this race. The pace car, iRacing pace car, is going to pull off here on the backstretch and free up the track for Christian Challoner to lead this race. There it goes. Christian Challoner now is going to be not in charge of the field. The flag man is in charge of the field. Christian Challoner and Matthew Thunhorst will duke it out for the start of this race to see who gets the good line off of the start. Here we go into the starting zone, and Christian goes. He's able to get a better jump over Thunhorst by about half a car length before they enter turn 1. Thunhorst looks to try and dive it around the outside, possibly hang on to that position. Thinks better of it. He's going to slot into that second position. It's Challoner over Thunhorst, over Hill, over Abramitis.
As I expected, an early start that time from the flagman there, but we did have a little checkup there back with the 21 of Halleck. Everybody made it through there correctly and good here, so it looks like lap 1 completed, and already everybody pretty much single file.
Pretty much single file here, except for the back of the field with Brent Kirby and Jason Wallet side by side as they go through turns 1 and 2. It looks like it's going to go in the favor of Brent Kirby, who's going to pull into that 11th position.
Oh, contact, easy. Foster got into the back of McGreevy and almost sent him up the track. Everybody was able to hold on there, and they carry on.
Scrapping for the final positions of the race, Brian McGreevy, Brenton Foster. Now it's Wallet and Kirby who are tucked in behind them. Oh, Kirby gets up into the marbles, able to hold on to it just barely as they exit the corner. Christian Challoner puts in the fastest lap of the race.
Oh, easy. Thunder's getting a little loose there off of turn 4. Very easy to do. These cars are going to get tighter. And what happens when you put too much wheel into it and you give some gas to it? She's going to snap loose. So you got to be very careful. That happened to Thunder's. They're off turn 4 a second ago.
Looks like everybody's pretty content to ride where they are. Just trying to keep my eyes on to anyone who's trying to make a move. Looks like Travis Worling isn't super content to be where he is, trying to claw his way up to the back of Tom Abramitis for that 4th position. Tom looking to do a late entry to the corner, but looks like he's burning up his right rears a little bit coming off. Now, obviously, 25 laps isn't very long, Chris, but you can still burn up a right rear in that amount of time if you're not
careful. Yeah. You can roast your tires up really quickly. You see Kevin Hill slide up the track there just a little bit, these cars are going to get tighter and tighter. They almost drive on the right front, and then once you get power off, basically it's causing the right front to slide. And if you come off the corner and all of a sudden your car goes sideways because of so much turning the car, it'll get that right rear mad at you. You do not want that.
Absolutely. Abramitis looking a little bit loose off of turn 4 that time around, but all the drivers doing a really good job to just hang on to it. Riding on board with Abramitis now, looking out the front window towards Kevin Hill, who seems to be quite neutral off of turn 2. So that might be a time where Abramitis might be able to diamond the corner, maybe get a better exit, maybe try and make a pass into 3 and 4th later on in this race.
See, some of the best Martinsville racers, they get right down there on that curb stripe, and you almost try to make the straightaway as long as you can. And one way you can do it is by diamonding, as you mentioned. You slide up into the middle of the corner and come off the straightaway. The other way you do it is you keep your left front right down on that red and white line as long as you can and bring your car straight off, almost like you're running at Richmond. And that's another way you can gain some grip and get good drive off, because remember, there's not really a lot of rubber down in that area of the track. As you watch, looks like Abramitis starting to get a run here on Kevin Hill in the turn 3.
Absolutely puts pressure onto Hill. Hill, though, a good braking job into turns 3 and 4. Able to hold off Abramitis, not blanch too much there. We do have a couple of battles brewing back further in the pack as well. McGreevy and Foster and Wallet and Kirby all having their own 2x2 battles as well. But Abramitis definitely looking hungry to try and take away this 3rd position from Kevin Hill.
Yeah, Hill's done a great job making whatever adjustments he's had to make, and it's kind of made it a more of a neutral battle. Abramitis hadn't been able to get to him too much there. Both of them doing a great job rotating their cars through the corner.
Absolutely. So you can see Abramitis definitely putting the pressure on. Kevin Hill is having to pay a little bit more attention to the rearview mirror than at the windshield at the moment. But, I mean, barring a gutsy late move from Abramitis, Kevin's got this covered off. As long as he can cut off the corner well, he's quite high on the exit there of 2.
I've noticed a couple times he might be getting to the throttle just a little too quick. And what I mean by a little, I mean a blip of a second too quickly. But, he's getting the runs off the corner. It seems like it's working for him. So the only thing it might do later on tonight in this race is burn up that right front by sliding it like that.
So everyone playing it safe right now, playing it nice and calm. Christian Challoner out to a decent lead. Thunhorse sticking with Challoner, not putting a lot of pressure on Challoner at this time, but the real pressure is being seen on to Kevin Hill by Abramitis. Warling just falling off the back of those two just a touch. He's able to get there in the middle of the corner, but he can't carry the speed off because I think he's taking too much speed into the corner.
Yeah, these cars are starting to dance a little bit here. Kevin Hill's getting loose on entrance. Abramitis maybe getting a little tight on exit there. But all the lap times, I'm just sitting there watching them. The top 5 are on top of another lap time-wise. Last time by Challoner, 59, 56, 63, 61, 59. That was your top 5.
So Thunhorse actually climbing to the back of Challoner now as Challoner starts to back off a little bit and manage the tires. Abramitis climbing that inside curb there a little bit. That's going to make him loose off the corner. He's able to hang on to it. These drivers, they want to put down the fast lap times. They want to keep these positions. Look at this. Kevin Hill drifting up a little bit again. Abramitis with a decent run off the corner, but not enough overspeed to try and dive it down into 3.
One side-by-side battle. Let's go back to 9th real quickly as Brenton Foster underneath McGreevy into turn 3. Nice clean pass inside here. Let's see if he can complete it off into turn 1. He should be able to drive it in there pretty deep, and if he has to move the car up the track just to get him out of the lane, he should clear him right here, though.
Yeah, McGreevy with his right tires in the marbles, not able to turn that car through the corner, and that allows Foster to go by. So decent fighting all over the track at this point. We've got that battle for the 3rd position between Hill, Abramitis, and Warling. We've got a battle for 6 between Partridge, Barnes, and Halleck, as well as their nose to tail, as we're halfway through this heat.
Now, one thing I've heard this said by the legendary, 21 almost getting in the back of the 4 there. Legendary Darrell Waltrip. A lot of people like him, a lot of people hate him, but he said one of the best quotes I've ever heard in racing at this track. If you have damage on the left side of your car, that means you're in the way. If you have damage on the right side of your car, that means you went passing people. Oh, 21 dives it in there deep. Halleck.
Absolutely sticking it down in there, making Partridge go on the high line. Partridge with a decent run off the corner. Not a lot of power there. Halleck is going to drift it through the middle lane, but he's going to lose the rear end. Here he goes around. That's going to be our first caution. we're barely going to get back to green here. It's going to be probably a 1 or 2 lap shootout, Chris.
Now, I will say this, just because I've hosted sessions like this before with heat racing, as we watched, just simple, I think he got in too deep and lost the back end right around on him. The only way you can really counter that is to put some brake in your front end to try to tighten up the car. But I should mention really quickly, in these heat races, usually if you have the main event set for a green-white checker, there's usually green-white checkers in the heat race. So what I would do right now, if I'm somewhere back at Brent and Foster on back, I'm coming to get myself some tires and get whatever I can get.
Oh, absolutely. This is gold time, for those drivers in the back, Chris. That's exactly what I would do in that position. I'd be like, hey, I got nothing to lose back here. Might as well see if I can take some tires and make some steely passes at the end here. So the pit lane should be opening this time by, and we'll see whether or not anyone decides to take it. So Christian Challoner still leading over Matthew Thunhorst and Kevin Hill. Is he going to come in? My guess would be no. Pit lane's still closed at the moment.
Put it like this, these cars after 20 laps lost 0.4 of a second. That's worth going to get a set of tires if you're in the back of the field.
Especially considering how close the lap times have been between all of the drivers. 0.4 is the difference between last and about mid-pack, so that's absolutely the right call, Chris. So
and that's referencing Challoner, by the way. Obviously, his fastest lap of the race is a 20:33. The lap before the caution, he ran a 27.
So coming around onto the backstretch this time, still looking like pit lane is closed.
Remember, if you follow the leader in racing, you're going to follow the leader at the end of the race. Do something different.
So nobody able to come to the pits this time by. It looks like people are lined up single file, just patiently waiting. And taking a look, we do not have an official declaration of a green-white checker yet, but we're definitely... There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, so pit road should be open now.
Pit road should be open this time. Let's see who goes in.
No, they're 1 to green now, so no, pits were open and nobody pitted.
Well, interesting decisions being made here. So,
wow.
Nobody came to the pits. It looks like the pit lane is open so I'm seeing green on the pit boards this time.
Well, we're coming to the green.
It's too risky to go in at this point, so... We're going to go back to green with Christian Challoner, Matthew Thunhorst, Kevin Hill, Tom Abermitis, and Travis Worling, your top 5. And I'll talk about a crazy race this is going to be. When is Christian going to go? This is the first time we've seen him lead a restart today. Coming into the start line, he goes late. He goes quite late. Absolutely stacked it up, Chris, as we go into the first corner. Challoner with a massive 0.4 lead. Everyone else still side by side.
I'll check out the restart here in a second. Oh, contact, couple cars in the wall, couple cars getting stacked up back near Barnes. Looks like Worling got the wall a little bit there off of turn 2, but Challoner's gone.
Abermitis also got the wall, but here's Kevin Hill trying to make a move on the inside of Matthew Thunhorst. This is for the white flag this time by Christian Challoner, currently in the lead. It looks like Kevin Hill got a bad exit off the corner. Here comes Worling trying to make a move. It looks like Brian Barnes hit the outside wall again, but Christian Challoner into turns 3 and 4, sticks it on the bottom, just a little bit off of the bottom groove, is going to be able to come home with the heat win tonight of Heat 2. Christian Challoner winning that heat with Matthew Thunhorst in second, Kevin Hill third, Travis Worling fourth, and Tom Abermitis in fifth after hitting the outside wall. So let's take a look at those results here as we get 6th position Brian Barnes, Brian McGreevy in 7th, and Ray Partridge in the 8th position, Brenton Foster in 9th, and Jason Wallet in 10th. And then we've got our final 2 positions being Brian Halleck and Brent Kirby. So that's going to take us to a short break before we hit up our main feature race tonight. 200 laps around here at Martinsville in the Monte Carlo SS machines from Chevrolet. Here for the Virginia is for Lovers 300. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to the Virginia is for Lovers 300 here with the Major Series Americas region round 12 here. We've just gone through 2 heats to set the grid for our final, for our main race here. 200 laps around here at Martinsville. That's going to be a whole different philosophy, Chris, for these drivers.
Yeah, it's going to be all about the long run, I think, here. We saw some great quality racing, only 2 cautions in those heat races. Before we go any further, I do want to mention really quickly, we kind of mentioned the stack up there at that last restart there at the end of heat race number 2. Challenger did no wrong. I actually went and looked. His speed was right the same the whole entire time coming to the restart there, so just a lot of anticipation on that. But going back to what we're saying, the long run, I think, is going to be key here tonight, especially with only 24 cars starting this race. Yeah, we're going to have some cautions, but eventually the long run is going to come into play, and it's going to be how well you can take care of the tires. We saw it in the second heat race, a 20-lap run, and tires fell off 0.4 of a second. So if you look at a regular run here on fuel, believe it or not, it's like 160 laps or 170 laps, which actually the fuel cell in a late model car is a lot bigger, actually. So you're almost going you can almost go the full race maybe on fuel if you had enough cautions and that kind of thing. But the question is, with the tire fall off, how far do you want to go? 3 sets of tires. So do you split the race in 3s, which means you go to maybe 75 and 150 and then save the 3rd set for later? Do you try to go 50, 100, 150? Do you do that? I mean, there's so many different strategies to do here. I personally have always been a fan of having the set of tires at the end of the race. I know this sounds not the smartest, but I would rather finish 10th and have a set of tires sitting in the pits that I could have used in a late caution and not get it, than to be sitting there at lap 140 and have no sets of tires left to win this race.
So tire preservation definitely the key around here as we get ready to go to the grid. 3 seconds left for these drivers to finish out their practice sessions. And here we go into the grid of the race. Andrew Waring will take the pole position here for the feature race with Christian Challoner in 2nd position. Ozzie Milwane will line up on row 2 with Matthew Thunhorst. Alongside him, Joey Haynes in 5th with Kevin Hill starting off in 6th position, and Justin Morton lining up in 7th with Travis Warling in 8th. Jeff Schmeier and Tom Abramitis will round out your top 5.
And row 6 through 10 here, Wayne Hutchinson and Brian Barnes there in the 11th and 12th position. Nathan Dowd and Brian McGreevy there outside row number 7. Row 8, Justin Kirby, who I just heard him kind of saying something to someone. I don't know if it was in a joking matter or not, so might have to watch him a little bit in that 58 car alongside Ray Partridge. Brandon Proudfoot, who probably had the worst luck of anybody in the heat races. He'll start 17th after starting up in the top 5 in his heat race. Brenton Foster there outside row 9. Row 10, Lincoln Schlow and Jason Waller.
And we got 2 more rows for this feature race. Ryan Steele in 21st and Brian Halleck in 22nd. Rob Powers in 23rd and Brent Kirby rounding out your 24 cars for this race. Now we want to remind you that the Major Series features a sponsor, features a charity for every single one of their races. And this race, it is Stack Up. Founded in 2015, Stack Up brings both veterans and civilian supporters together for a shared love of video gaming using programs such as the Stacks, Supply Crates, Air Assaults, and the Stack Up Overwatch program. To learn more, check out the link in the description below. Well,
Might have a stack up tonight.
Absolutely. It's 200 laps. It's going to be a long time to hold on to those tires. I mean, we saw the tires getting extremely loose for these drivers just over the course of 25 laps. I can't imagine how it's going to feel trying to make a tire set last for at least 100.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it. You're going to have to preserve them. But I would not expect, if you get a caution somewhere, I would say between 60 and 80, don't be surprised you see the leaders on pit road at that moment.
So we're getting ready to go to the green flag. The pace car will drop off. Then the race is in control of the flagman. It is whenever the flagman decides to wave the green flag, that will give an equal opportunity for Andrew Waring and Christian Challoner to get off of the line. Then it is whoever can hang it out well through turn 1. So as our drivers come around turns 3 and 4, Christian Challoner making sure to be a nose behind Andrew Waring going into the starting zone. The flagman has the flag up. Let's see when he decides to drop it. Here we go.
Early.
Yeah, quite early in the zone. So an even launch between Waring and Challoner as they go into turn 1. Challoner trying to hold it strong on the outside. He's going to put his power down early and try and keep it going. It's still side by side between the two of them into 3 and 4.
He's going to need to pinch Waring down here in turn 3.
Here he goes, trying to pitch it down. Yeah, he goes a little bit too high into those marbles. He goes a little bit loose there. This is the most amount of cars we had on track, and a big wreck in the back. That's going to be Brenton Foster going around, as well as Brent Kirby, Rob Powers, Jason Wallet.
No caution.
Everyone's still going somehow.
Now caution.
That's a massive incident that we had in the back of the field there. Let's take a look at what happened there. Oh, 3 wide, and it was a big stack up even earlier than that.
Well, there's your first problem, is you're 3 wide on lap 1 coming off turn 4. But let's, you see a couple cars badly damaged. I saw one already crab walking.
Absolutely. So it looks like this happens, 3 wide off of turn 4. You're not kidding. That's exactly what led to it. A little bit of
looks like,
there.
Somebody gets loose there off the top side.
No, that was still 3 wide contact. That was the 23 that ended up getting into one of the drivers there, and the 23 ends up getting spun around at that incident, but it was still 3 wide up ahead of them. So 2 rows of 3 wide off of turn 4 on lap 1.
So watching Proudfoot here in the 20 or the 220, he gets hooked. Man, talk about a bad night. Holy cow. Starts up and he gets clobbered again, and then his engine blows, so now he's got a tow. But talk about a race where a guy starts up at the top 5 of his heat race, self-spins there on lap 1, or completion of lap 1 in the heat race, falls to the back, and now has to start in the back for this race, and bam, lap 1 again, bites him.
Proudfoot looking like he's out of the vehicle, so might not even take that spare vehicle for him. Looks like Brian Halleck and Brent Kirby both have taken their spare vehicles. Brenton Foster doesn't look like he took his, so Foster has major damage. He was the one who was crabbing, and you don't have a second opportunity to take that spare car. If you didn't take it when you pull into the pits, you're stuck doing that repair. Yeah,
you're stuck doing that repair, and your only option then is to, you could do something sneaky, and you could pull up a little bit in the back into your stall and probably use to reset. Wouldn't advise that. But the other thing you do is drive out on track, come back around pit road, and come back in and get the reset at that point. The problem is, with that track, the car dog walking, if you will, that thing is probably going to be on pit road for at least 10 minutes.
So unfortunately, Brenton Foster looks like he's able to get the car going again. And looks like he was able to get that fast repair done, so he did do the little shimmy, Chris, so he's back out. Oh my goodness, quite a bit of drama, but here we go into another to our first restart of the feature race, rather. Andrew Waring will lead them to the line. Christian Challoner will be in second. I'm wondering whether Andrew's trying to claim the outside here?
Single file restart.
Single file restart. So up at the top goes Andrew Waring, trying to cover off Christian Challoner.
Now you're running through all the rubber. I don't know if I'd be doing that.
I don't think this is necessary because the start line is right here. So Andrew Waring gets the launch. I guess he's trying to make everyone else get in the clag too, so keep them from having good traction to turn 1. As we dive it down, it's going to be single file all the way back.
9 car blinks out a little bit of Morton. Real quickly, Foster back on track. He's a lap down. Also, Brent Kirby a lap down back on track. Wallet was able to stay on the lead lap.
Kevin Hill on the high side. He's being forced on.
Kinchlow. Another Kinchlow. Looks like the 21 involved again of Halleck.
Halleck's already used his spare car, so he can't do another one.
Ryan Steele.
This is interesting. Watch Kinchlow. He's going to be exiting.
Oh, wow.
He exits.
I think Kinchlow tried to get into the corner and pretty much run across the was it the 8 maybe of Partridge?
That's right. Yeah, Kinchlow comes down across Partridge. Here we're going to see it. Kinchlow up on the high lane. You can see him crossing down to that bottom lane.
Ooh.
And crosses the nose of Partridge, and then gets run into by the 12, and then gets pushed into the bottom lane.
So here's another situation where I bring this up. Again, short track racing like a road course. On a road course, that would probably be looked at as a situation maybe where Partridge was not in a position to make the pass on Kinchfoot and would see unavoidable contact. So where does that separate on a short track? Because does Partridge have the position going into turn 3 at that point?
I mean, if I was driving in Partridge's shoes, I would think he absolutely crossed my nose. But
Which
if
is
I
fair.
was Kinchlow, I would think that I was trying to cover off Partridge by taking away his lane and hoping that Partridge backed up. But
Right,
unfortunately,
because
that hope didn't pan out for him.
no, it doesn't. Unfortunately, Partridge sent Kinchlow packing. But in that situation, I bring that up because I'm putting myself in the driver's shoes right now. If Kinchlow's spotter, which remember, spotters aren't the top-notch thing on iRacing. They don't tell you like, oh, he's right at your quarter or whatever. They just usually say car low. If you did not hear car low going into turn 3, then yeah, he's going to turn down.
Absolutely. So, unfortunately, the person who that hurt the most was Brian Halleck in the 21 because he already used his spare vehicle. So, unfortunately, he's back in the pits for some repairs. But this is pretty much oh my goodness, and look at who's behind him. That's Lynn Kinchlow, who has not used his fast repair, so he might use it here. But Halleck is the one who's in for the long haul tonight.
Wish they'd do it like Formula E. Throw it to the garage, throw it back, jump in the backup car and pull back out. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. I mean, I know that we can drive into the garage area in some of the tracks, so it'd be cool to...
Like Martinsville. You can do it here.
Exactly.
But you know, and the one thing, and obviously Joe Peak's our producer. I know he's behind the scenes and stuff. I'm kind of curious to hear what he has to say about something like that. You know, either after the race or whatever, because it's, again, that kind of reminds me of a road course move right there.
Absolutely. So as the lights go off on the pace car, we will contemplate what Joe Peak might be saying as we get ready to
typing to us. He does type to us too.
As we get ready to go for this restart, Andrew Waring will lead Christian Challoner over Ozzie Milwane, Matthew Thunhorst, Joey Haynes, Justin Morton, Travis Worling, Kevin Hill, Tom Abramitis, and Jeff
I can't
Schmeier.
say that on the air, Joe. Anyway.
So, as we get ready to go, Andrew Waring doing the high line dirty tires thing again. Let's see whether or not it works out for him the same way it did this past time. You can see Challoner absolutely gets jumped this time as Waring goes extremely early, leaving Challoner in the dust.
Obviously, great restart there, as we already see double wide back here. The 17 under attack, Hutchinson and Dowd to his outside.
Absolutely, and we see some
He
covers
sends
going
it in
on.
there.
Oh man, covering going on from Abramitis and Schmeier as they were trying to cover off the bottom side there from the charging Hutchison. Dowd takes that opportunity to go to the high side and hang it out.
Yeah, he made the pass on Hutchinson and got to the door of the 30 car off of 3 and 4, but I think now he's going to start losing that momentum. I think he needs to get down as soon as he can, or else he's going to go backwards. I think he sends it in there pretty good on the entrance, but he's going to hurt himself on exit.
The top line was not developed at all in Heat 2, so he is able to get a good run, though, and able to dive down to that bottom side, take away the position for good from Hutchinson.
And that might be a little give and take also. I mean, you just got 2 cautions in the first 13 laps. Be careful, obviously, and just get out here and run laps right now. You can't win it on lap 14. You can surely lose it, though. And don't call me Shirley.
And we have definitely seen a couple of drivers intent on losing it here early tonight, but now we're starting to get a little bit into a rhythm. Been about 3 laps here of green. Up the front, Andrew Waring leading this race over Christian Challoner. Challoner hanging out at the back of Waring. They're starting to gap 3rd and 4th. And Chris, talk to me. Is it necessary to do that, or is this one of those races where you want to just try and pull out the gap necessary to lead the race?
Well, I think they're going to try to go as hard as they can and then maybe back their car up to them, but also in vice versa. You could see these other cars just trying to get into a rhythm here, run laps, let the tires kind of balance out and try to keep the handling on under them. From the start of this race, you are pretty much trying to control the tires, especially, you know, the front tires on entrance, the rear tires on exit, because as Justin Morton's having some connection issues, it looks like, but you got to be able to save your tires from the start, because if you burn them up, you're going to get real loose off corner, and that's going to kill your front drive, and you'll all of a sudden start falling back. You want to preserve from the start.
Now, Justin Morton having these connection issues is actually a big deal. Remember, he's a Forge Pro Racing 1 driver. This would definitely affect the point standings, and this is not the first time he's had disconnect issues, and he's been gone for about 15 seconds now.
Gonna drop here in a second.
So, up at the lead of the race, though, Christian Challoner putting some heavy pressure on Andrew Waring, trying to get Waring to make a mistake. Waring, though, very strong and steady in the back there. Let's ride on board with Christian Challoner as we try and get him going.
If you look at the top side now, you might notice the track has been cleaned off. There's not as much marbles up there on the top side from what I'm seeing here, especially in some of the corners. Like turn 4, I'm seeing it develop more and more, but not as much as I saw earlier. So there might have been a little bit of cleaning between races.
Absolutely. So Challoner hanging out there on that bottom line. Both of them running about a very similar line off the corner. We'll see whether or not Christian Challenger decides to try and do something different to try and get angle on Waring. He tries to carry a little bit more speed through the center of the corner. That puts him a little bit higher off of the corner that time around. But Christian Challenger putting the pressure on Waring for the top position. A little bit of curve there.
Yeah, Challenger's getting them on entry as Morton does officially drop out. But Challenger's getting them on entry. A little bit higher up, probably going to slide to the bottom here, get the left side of the nose in clean air, maybe just a little bit. Not able to do so there, but yeah, it's a real close battle here. Time-wise, the top 5 all within a tenth of a second of each other.
Half a lap to traffic. Traffic being the 21 machine of Brian Halleck. We have a couple of other drivers behind Halleck that are 1 lap and 3 laps down, Kirby and Proudfoot. Proudfoot 3 laps down at this point. They'll have a hard time making it back from there, but Challenger definitely putting the pressure now on Waring as they're coming down to a straightaway until traffic.
A lot of things you can do here in both positions, but again, let this race come to you at this point. Still lap number, 23 of this race right now, so still over 270 laps to go. Let the car come to you as Challenger got a good run off 4 here.
Absolutely. Actually hit the back bumper there of Waring. He drives it in there. Waring gives him the room, and Challenger's going to take that, but Waring, a decent run off the corner, able to keep that lead.
Obviously, I don't know Waring that well, but in that situation, I mean, if Challenger, he did a great job defending Challenger, but if you'd have got to my side there, I probably am getting on the brake and falling in behind him and letting him go at this point. Because again, all you're doing if you're Waring and Challenger's all over your back end is you're pretty much wearing your tires out trying to hold him off. If he's faster, let him go.
Looks like we've had some scuffles in the back of the pack as well between Ryan Steele and Rob Powers. They're side by side with Lynn Kinchlow looking on. We saw these two battling in the lower splits. Wow, Powers way up in the marbles, barely hangs onto it and keeps it out of the wall there. My goodness, those marbles absolutely negatively affecting these drivers. You can see he can't even get the car turned in at this point.
And Morton coming back on track. He got his connection back and is back out. Unfortunately for him in the 9 car, he is all of 9 laps down already.
No, might not necessarily be the end of his points day because, we got a nice move going on up there between Ryan Steele and Jason Wallet as they're trying to battle for those positions.
Yeah, Wallet obviously in the 16th position, almost involved in those early wrecks there, but you see Steele gets to his bottom side here, and unfortunately he has got a long train a coming, as the song is once said. To the inside, there's got a teammate there behind him who might let him in line here, but we'll have to see if the 12 should clear him right here off turn 2. Nice clean pass, it looks like.
Absolutely, and Wallet does make enough of a run. He's going to dive to the bottom side and defend from his teammate of Lynn Kinchlow. Lynn decides to try and do the over-under here. Can't quite get it done. Backs up Brenton Foster behind him as well. Now there's a train of 5 cars trying to challenge.
Up front, Challenger, top side.
Challenger trying to make the move on the high side of Waring. Can't get it done this time around. Waring able to keep him pressured and keep him up there. Christian Challenger going to dive around the top side again. He's the one who told us that there wouldn't be a high line developing in this race track, but he's going to try and develop one and make it work anyway.
Now in defense on that one, actually Waring moved to the bottom down the back straightaway to kind of keep him from getting a run on the bottom side. So it was more of that was the only spot Challenger could go than it was getting a run up there.
So Challenger now under pressure from Milwane from behind, as Milwane's actually being able to claw his way forward. Thunhorse not too far behind either. That's about half a second back to Joey Haynes. So the top 4 under half a second from each other right now.
Now here's Martinsville for you right here. It's not a matter of Challenger's car is better than Waring. It's the fact that Waring's car is not handling right now, because you've now got 2nd, you've now got 3rd, you've now got 4th, and pretty much you are holding them up right now at this point. Though he's holding on to the lead, this is where it becomes tough to pass, because now here comes 5th place going to join this train, and then 6th place is going to join this train. So eventually Waring, Challenger's going to have to make a move here, because if he doesn't, then you could see the teammates there behind him go to work and get past Challenger. So don't be surprised to see him make a move here any minute.
Ooh, Challenger up into the outside wall a little bit. Just a little bit of a rub. Won't be affecting him too much, but might have shaken the confidence a little bit. That doesn't seem to happen to Challenger that often, but Milwane definitely trying to put the pressure on. He sees a little bit of weakness in Challenger now.
I've seen Challenger race way too much. I don't know if there's anything that could hurt confidence.
Ooh, wow, Milwane takes it very deep there into 1 and 2. Maybe an opportunity for Thunhorse, but Thunhorse just backs out of it. Doesn't want to burn up those tires quite yet as they dive into 3 and 4.
35 laps in already, and now we're seeing lap times falling off about a half a second from the start of this race. And this is again at lap number 37, as I said right now, as there goes Milwane up the track.
Milwane too deep there into 1 and 2. Once again, that's 2 laps in a row. And Thunhorse says, look, we're going to keep doing that. We're going to lose the guys ahead. I'm going to take this opportunity. He sticks it to the bottom side, powers down off the corner. A little bit of contact between the two of them. Thunhorse now diving to the inside of 1 and 2. Is Milwane going to take it too deep again? Yes!
Both of them send it in deep. They both got loose going in. Unfortunately for Milwane, he got loose worse.
Absolutely, and he was up in the marbles, so Joey Haynes, the teammate, saying, all right, Ozzy, get behind me. Let's see if we can gather this thing back up. But Challoner looking for a move now on the outside of Waring for the lead.
Waring being very defensive, using that inside line. Challoner's going to cross him over here, I think. Not able to get the drive off.
Challoner might have to do a lunge down the inside at some point to try and get by Waring, but Waring, you could see him get deep into that corner. He is really leaning on those outside tires to try and hang on to it. Now we got the Brian Halleck, I say, as we get to a lapped car. Brian Halleck now about to get lapped by Waring and Challoner, and this might provide an opportunity for Challoner or might be his bane.
Now Halleck's going to get up there and give him the inside lane here, so good move on Halleck's part. Obviously early in this race, he's probably got some damage still in that car. You can see it right there on the front end, so he's struggling a little bit there, so just let the leaders go on by and live another day.
Absolutely, but Challoner not done pressuring Waring just yet. As Waring diving it down very early into those corners. Christian Challoner trying to late apex these things to try and get more speed off of the corner, trying to straighten out that exit, as you mentioned earlier, Chris. So he's not rolling the bottom side as we expected, but he's trying to do that late apex to try and get a good run off of 3 and 4.
Yeah, Waring's got a good car, it looks like, in the center. Entrance, Challoner's getting them. And it looks like center, well, yeah, you can see how he gets right back down to that red and white line. He's almost parking the bus, if you will, in the middle of the corners. If you watch Waring very closely, and basically being able to do that protects the run. Challoner backed off far enough here, he might be able to do something here. But Waring, basically, when you're able to slow up, you're basically daring Challoner to come up and hit him or try to get to his inside. And obviously, if you're a smart driver and you're a clean driver, you're not just going to go up there and Logano somebody, if you will. You're just going to try to, you're going to try to race them clean. But when somebody's checking up in the corner, you got loose there on entrance.
We see this kind of thing happen all the time in road racing as well, where drivers will back up their fellow drivers in the corner because they know that they can pull a bigger gap on the exit. And so that's exactly what's going on here. As Challoner gets a little bit tight off the corner, able to hang on to it, but that's definitely not the direction he wants his car to be going off of 3 and 4.
No, it's not. And that's something that can obviously play a role, right now after just one lap. When you do something like that and make a mistake, you're hurting your tires. So you got to be very careful, and you want to almost back off and cool them down, which I wonder if that's what Herring was doing back when the obviously 3rd, 4th, and 5th place started catching back up, because now they've spread back out from Thunhurst and Haynes and Milwane. So obviously Waring's doing a great job up here in the front.
Absolutely, and speaking of Travis Warling, down in 6th position, he's now putting pressure on Ozzy Milwane, who's gotten dropped by Joey Haynes just a little bit. So these drivers absolutely trying to ring it out here, trying to make passes, but it's really hard to pass around here. The marble's really challenging, and that high line starting to get marbled up again, Chris.
It is getting marbled up really, really good, safe to say. So you do not want to get off that bottom side. Now you see the 99 car of Haynes kind of slide up there a little bit, but it's very tricky. There's so many things you can do, but how to make the move effective is going to be the key here. But long run here, this has been very good so far. We've been going for about 40 laps almost now of green flag racing here. So these guys are in their rhythm. Times have fallen off about a half second, a little over half. We're seeing mostly 29s and 21 flats and stuff out of these cars. So obviously these tires are up to their max right now, and you're starting to see some wear in them.
Absolutely, and Tom Abramitis putting some pressure now on Kevin Hill for that 7th position as well. Just trying to keep that pressure on to these Evolved Sim Sports drivers. They seem to be going backwards a little bit towards the middle of this stint here, so maybe a little bit more of a short run car for these guys, expecting some action at the end of the race to give them an opportunity to claw their way forward. But Andrew Waring, as you said, keeping Christian Challoner at bay, and not a lot of passing going on track right now. We might start to see some bumpers come out when we get past halfway.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned it there, that Evolve Sim Sports team looks like they're built for the short run, because you've noticed some cars falling back. You look back at the third position right now. There's a run, but the 52 going to get passed by Abramitis.
Abramitis is going to dive it deep into turns 3 and 4. Try and stick Kevin Hill rather on the top side where the marbles are. Can do so. Snell about half a car length to clear. Abramitis sends it in deep. Going to park it on the apex and force Kevin Hill to sit behind him.
Yeah, so look, here's a good way to look at this. If you see the way everybody's lined up on track right now, Waring's under pressure right now from Challoner. Then you go back to Thunhurst and Haynes. They're both under pressure from the car behind them, and then you just seen Abramitis get past Kevin Hill. So you're starting to wonder, you kind of hit it when you said the Evolve cars, they almost come together right there off of turn 2, as Thunhurst got a little high. He's going to actually let his teammate go by.
That's actually Joey Haynes who's going to let Milwane go by, yeah. And so Milwane starting to gather himself back up from that early slowness. Maybe he's got a different setup than the rest of the Evolve guys, and maybe has something a little bit more for the longer runs. Still looks a little tight for himself, though. But all this being said, as we ride on board with Travis Warling behind Joey Haynes and Milwane, Travis has been making some good progress as well. But I do want to take us back up to our leaders here, because Christian Challoner and Andrew Waring are coming in on some thicker lapped traffic. We've got Rob Powers, Jason Wallet, and Justin Morton, who got his connection back going. He's very happy with his ISP right now. And so he's trying to get himself back into a position where he can gain some spots. But this is going to start to affect our lead battle for sure.
Yeah, as they get in the lap traffic here, you wonder how much cooperation they're going to have, because when you see cars up here battling for position, you know, as you mentioned, Powers and Wallet, these guys fighting for position, you don't have to give up the spot here. So, I mean, you have every right to fight for your position at the same time, which is going to make these leaders race. And I could be easily wrong here, just as the 3 washes up just a little bit there. You see Warren getting a little loose on entry. I wonder if these Evolve Sim Sports cars, you wonder if they're maybe tight off, because it's killing their center off corner.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like to me as well, Chris. And one thing to mention for those who don't watch a lot of American oval racing, blue flags are optional. Challoner's got to run, and Waring blocks it off. That's a good move from Waring to recognize that Challoner had that run going, able to cover it off.
When does it become... Actually, is that damage on the 1 car? Or is it... I just noticed that, the damage on the right front there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's probably not hurting them too much, but still, that's something. But when does it become a factor? I want to ask you this. When does it become a factor when you see the 3 car being defensive moving down like that, that it's like, all right, I can use the bumper now?
I would guess probably somewhere around lap 150 plus.
I mean,
that would be my guess.
I'm looking at it as kind of like, it's not blocking. He's not doing anything wrong. Oh! But how do you... Oh, and he just got the wall.
That's going to be more damage for Challoner. That's much more damage actually on the right front there, as Funhorst right back to the back of them, as they've been getting held up a little bit by these cars now. Rob Powers is the 47 that Challoner's going by right now. Waring underneath the 114 of Wallet, who gets almost up into the wall there, as he's not used to running in the slag either. But Thornhorst really putting pressure on Christian Challoner right now in that Forge Racing machine. He could take away second here if Christian's not careful.
Yeah, he's been one of the faster cars, and he's been out here on his own mostly. I mean, he got by Milwane earlier and has kind of been out on his own island. So what are you able to do when you're by yourself? You're able to save tires and just kind of let the car come to you. And that's exactly what he's done, is these 2 leaders have battled for all 60 laps of this race. So he's probably got a fresher tire underneath him.
We saw Thunhorst back off of these leading 2 once he got past Ozzie Milwane. And I think he just got into that rhythm you talked about, Chris, and just started putting in the lap times that he knew would be good enough to conserve his tires around here, and watched as the leaders came back to him.
And you see the 3 starting to fall right back into the clutches of Challoner again. I don't see damage really on the right side at all, other than that right front. As you mentioned, he hit the wall square off of turn 2, which is probably the best way you want to hit a wall, if you ever do, is square. And because of that, he's able to maintain and even make up to the 3. But I was starting to say before you got the wall there, it's like Waring's not doing anything wrong at all. Like he's to being defensive, doing everything he has to do to keep the lead. But eventually, you got to find your way around somebody. You got to do something. And if you can't pass them on the top side, and the guy's being defensive, you got to go on the offense. And even if you do it in a clean way, and that sounds like an oxymoron term, moving somebody in a clean way, as long as you bump them and maybe move them up the track just a little bit without wrecking them, it's racing.
Well, we've gone back to the battle for the fourth position between, the fifth position rather, between Joey Haynes, Travis Worling, and Tom Abermitis. Rob Powers in that 47 is a lapped car, and so is Jason Wallet. That's going to hold up Haynes here a little bit. Is Worling going to try and use Wallet as a pick?
He's got to be able to get to him there in the first place. Looks like no, not going to be able to. So yeah, Milwain and Haynes, these guys are going to be able to get by those cars. And nice job there by Wallet to just kind of give everybody the room they need.
Absolutely. So this battle for the fifth position has been going on for quite a few laps, and
was that Wallet the wall?
Yes, quite a bit. He's got major right front damage now. That was not a square hit with the wall.
No, he definitely Wallet that one.
All right, so our leaders now in a similar formation to these three that we're seeing on screen for fifth, as Waring got a little bit tight off of turns 3 and 4 last time around. So Waring off of Challoner, off of Thunhorst, as they're still trying to navigate the traffic.
Watching that battle here up there front, you got the battle for 5th right now. You've got a battle for 10th right now. There's still some great racing going on here as we've been clean and green now for almost 60 laps. Believe it or not, the tires have kind of balanced out. I'm not seeing much fall off now on these tires. They fell off about a half second, and then they seem to have plateaued a little bit on these cars, so I'm very surprised by that at the moment. But either way, you're still seeing the difference in the handling of these cars, how Andrew Waring's been able to just put that 3 car right there on the bottom and dare Challoner to do something. The problem is now for Challoner is if he does something, he's got somebody behind him now in Thunhurst. So this is the point of the race where you got to see who's going to make what moves and who can do whatever to get to this lead.
And this is the point in the race where when I'm driving these kinds of races, I'm like, okay, how are we doing? I'm expecting to be on like, what, lap 140? And you look and you're on 70 and you're like,
right. What in the world? But no, and that's where you lose focus.
And Travis Worling just went up the track. Of his own volition, unfortunately. Just got too deep into turns 1 and 2. Or 3 and 4, rather. Into the marbles, and he went up the track. He lost the position to Tom Abermitis, so Worling down to 7th.
Worling losing a spot here, and I just watched the 57 right here at the leaders. Kirby getting around the 21 there, and he's going to yield to the leaders himself here. But I watched that right in front of the lead. I'm like, uh-oh, this could be the moment, but that was close.
Thunhorst having to take a little bit of evasive action as his tight car was going to take him straight up into the door of Brent Kirby. Able to keep it off of Kirby as Kirby was able to keep it off of the wall, but that's going to lose him a couple of tenths to the 2 leaders.
Yeah, I mean, everybody running now in the 21-second bracket, low 21s for the most part, now is passing that lap car. So, yeah, I mean, right now it's just a matter of not losing focus. It's so easy when you get into a long run like this that, you know, depending on what kind of wheel you have, what you're sitting, what your settings are. I mean, if you, like me, I don't race with any force feedback or anything like that, and don't have any kind of rumbling or any kind of, I got my speaker just, you know, pretty much making the car sounds and stuff from iRacing, but you know, there's times where, you know, I will admit that I lose focus sometimes, or I'll get distracted by one little thing. And then when you're this long into a race and this long into a run, that can happen. And when that happens, mistakes happen. So this is that part of the race where you got to be careful, especially if you're Waring or Challoner or Thunhurst or anybody in this field. You make that one mistake, you could be the next caution.
Now, I've been keeping my eyes here on Nathan Dowd, currently in 10th position. He's had some pace over the course of this race. He's had nowhere to really exemplify it. He's been trying to put pressure on Jeff Schmeier for that 9th position. But just, it's so hard to pass around here in these cars without 2 lanes to work with. It's a real challenge to try and get around anybody.
Yeah, he's been battling Schmeier since the restart, because if you remember, he got the great jump on Hutchinson, passed him, and then got to the door of Schmeier. Was unable to clear him, so he's been pretty much trying to get around him here since the restart of this race. So like I said, so many great battles. You got the Schmeier and Dowd deal. You've got Haynes is back here trying to hold off Abermitis for 5th, and that's allowed Milwain to kind of pull away a little bit from that battle. Partridge and Steele back here for 15th. Those guys are fighting with each other right now. So It's you mentioned it's tough to pass, and eventually patience are gonna go bye-bye in this race.
Not you know, a lot of battles, but not a lot of passing, and so that's definitely that frustration is going to boil over at some point. But tell me something, Chris. If we get a caution here, and eventually we probably will because someone's going to get frustrated. I'm guessing everybody's coming. Right?
I knew your question before you even asked me. Yes, I'm coming to get tires at this moment. You got 3 sets of tires laying in the pits. You're 20 laps from halfway in this race. The window's open. You're coming to get tires at this point in the race because don't let them sit there. And not to mention, I'm watching this track now, and pretty much it looks like an F1 race when it comes to the clag. I mean, there's the one groove on the curve, and then there is rubber all the way from the middle groove to the wall. I mean, look at that view. I mean, that track is dirty.
Yeah, there's nowhere to make a pass, and if you are able to stick your nose up the inside of somebody into one of these turns, you're sending them flying, basically. Our leaders are very, very close together, as I think Christian Challoner's trying to look for a way to get Waring, but Waring is doing exactly what you said, Chris, just backing up the center of the corner and forcing Challoner to have to slow down and not get as good of an exit as he's looking for, and that also backs up Thunhorst.
But I think in this case, Challoner's going to have to be a little more desperate, only because Thunhurst is there. I mean, as you see Thunhurst, we're on board with him right now. He's sitting right behind this one car. If the one car doesn't make a move, then Thunhurst might make the move.
Absolutely, and you know, a shove into somebody who's behind somebody else can sometimes end up in 2 cars spinning around. We've seen that multiple times, but
look at like 2013 Ryan Newman.
Yes, exactly that. And
good win, Boyer. Oh nope.
We're seeing Waring and Challoner getting very close together. They're coming up to Lynn Kinchla, who's not a slow driver in any respect. Just has not had the greatest of days today. Been involved in that second incident that we had earlier on today. And Lynn should be able to move out of the way, but with the amount of marbles that we have, you never really know what the guy's going to be able to do when he does move out of the way. He might not be able to drive the car super well, so that comes into play.
I think at that point you do it on the straightaway.
Oh, and it looks like Tom Abramitis has gotten to the bottom side of Joey Haynes for the 5th position. They're side by side as they cross the stripe right now. Tom Abramitis is going to dive it down into 1 and 2. What can Haynes do on the high side? The answer is nothing.
He's got nothing for him. I think the better move there for Haynes would have actually been to fall in line going into the corner so you don't lose as much time. But a great pass there by Abramitis here. He gets to the inside, sets him up off of 4, gets a great drive off, and is able to drive it down into turn 1 and hold on. Because remember, you got worn out tires now.
Sorry, the lead of the race is being held up significantly by Lynn Kinchlow, who has no need to move, and Christian Challoner puts the bumper to Waring, but can't get the overlap off of turn 4.
And Lynn has every right to do this right now. He does not have to give up the lead. People are going to say he's a lap car. No, he's on the lead lap right now. He has every right to battle for this position right now. As you see on the replay,
just the littlest of touches. Yeah, just the littlest of touches.
Mm-hmm.
And so that sends Waring up the track. But now let's see what happens here, because like you said, Kinchlow has no obligation.
If I'm the 3, I'm giving him the bumper. Like, get out of my way.
I mean, this is the 3 car. He should give him the bumper. It's only right.
This actually happened in the Euro race earlier, and I was actually going to talk a little bit about the cautions in that race. There were a lot of cautions in that race of cars trying to pass other cars on the inside and getting loose, kind of like you saw a minute ago with Abramitis. But look at this. Topside Charlie, this is tough.
He's going to make it work, though. He's got the power off of the corner, but Kinchlow, is he going to late break the leader into the corner? No, he's not. Now he's a lap car. He still doesn't have any obligation to get out of the way, but he's going to do it anyway.
Let him go now. Yeah, because now you're a lap down. Let the 2 others go, because you did everything you could do to let the leader go. That's the way you properly do it. But the reason why Waring was able to make that pass is because he was able to lay the door, or his left side right down on the right side of the 44, and it pinched him down. He wasn't able to get the drive off.
And also, through 1 and 2, there is about half a lane up there on the high side that was able to keep Waring's right side tires off of that clag, and he was able to get the power down off the corner.
Steve Matchett would love us right now. All this clag at Martinsville.
So much clag. So, Waring still leading over Challoner and Thunhorst. Then it's about a second and a half back to Ozzie Milwane, who's got a second over Tom Abramitis, who just got past Joey Haynes. Travis
caution!
Brian
Brian
McGreevy's
McGreevy.
around.
And the 21 also involved. So
21
that
of Brian
hard battle-
Halleck, who's out of fast repairs. This was actually off the nose of the 4 car. That was Brian Barnes, and this was a big stack up.
Ooh, Brian on Brian violence. Now, where does this caution pay off? How about the 44 car who just fought to stay on the lead lap? He's a lap down now, but I believe Lucky Dogs are on, so guess who the Lucky Dog is? Back around to the leader. Lead lap comes the 44. That's why, if you're a lead lap car, as you see the check up there, just simply got turned, got the bumper, unfortunately, put to him. But this is where being that first car a lap down pays off. He fought, went a lap down, but at that point, he kept his car clean, and now he's going to be back on the lead lap again. So great job there by the 44 of Lynn Kinchlow.
And this is why American Ovals allow for racing to stay on the lead lap. This is exactly why. And why the introduction of the Lucky Dog was created as well. So,
well, that might have something to do with Dale Jarrett sitting in the middle of New Hampshire Motor Speedway wrecked, too.
well, yeah, but we get everyone into the pits for fuel and, well, probably just tires. I'm guessing the fuel, maybe just a touch-up of fuel because we've had such long green flag runs. But everyone's going to come off with the 3 in the lead. That's going to be Andrew Waring and Christian Chauner. I say in the lead, but one guy stayed out, and that is Ryan Steele, who has already taken his fast repair. And so he's 85 laps into his stint.
I don't like the way that looks. 85 laps into his stint. His tires are probably pretty worn. He's got damage on the front of his... Is that dog gear? Monte Carlo? Dog bear. Okay. I can't read.
So he's pretty clean on his car, but the issue is going to be his tires, Chris. And we'll see whether, I mean, the pits are closed, so...
Did he use a set of tires accidentally when he got the new car?
Probably.
If that's the case, he's got 2 sets of tires left. He might have had no choice. Now, if they have lane choice here, and that's something maybe they probably do have lane choice here.
It's single file restarts.
Oh, it is? Oh, boy.
Yeah. So things are going to get exciting for Ryan Steele. He's going to get freight trained pretty hardcore coming to this restart, if I had to guess.
I'll just say this. For those who don't know, spinning the tires is a thing on iRacing, and normally when you do, your car goes to the right. So they're going to have to be very careful here as Steele's going to be starting on the top side, obviously, of a single file restart. Don't be surprised if when the 12 goes to gun this thing, which hopefully he's in 3rd gear, then the car goes to the right. And if he does, then obviously it's going to be big time wheel spin here. And the 3's going to have to be very careful. If I'm wearing, I'm going to give him an extra inch or 2 of space on this restart.
So here's my question to you. If you're Ryan Steele, do you do what Waring's been doing over the course of this race? And do you run it up to the line in the Clag?
No.
In the marbles?
There's no reason to, because you're on the straightaway before you even get to the Geico restart zone to get this thing going. And now I've seen a double up here.
Interesting. So everyone doubling up here.
If I'm Steele, I'd have taken the high side here. Just to, in case you spin the tires, you get out of everybody's way.
Well, that's not what's going to happen. So, Ryan Steele leading them to the restart with Andrew Waring, Christian Chaloner, Ozzie Milwain, and Tom Abramitis in the top 5. A double file restart here as we get ready to go with 103 laps to go. And Steele gets away quite well over Andrew Waring. Christian Chaloner now in a good position underneath Waring. This may be the opportunity you look for, but Steele stuck on that bottom side. He doesn't have the tires for it. He gets up into Waring. It's almost 3 wide here. Christian Chaloner decides not to dive it down to the inside. Waring trying to get around the outside, but he's in the Clag. He can't keep it straight.
How about Steele on the bottom? He's got something else of Steele that I can't say. That's impressive.
And here comes the 90 of Travis Whirlinger on the high side. So close between the 2 of them. This is the battle for the lead of the race. Christian Chaloner has nowhere to go right now. He's got to find a way around. He dives down to the bottom side, forcing Steele to the high side. This is probably the end of Steele. There's contact behind between Travis Whirling and Tom Abramitis.
Yeah, Milwain slid up the track a little bit there in the 4th position. That's caused that little check up there at 5th. I am impressed by Steele. Great job by that 12.
He's going to start falling back here, but he did exactly what he needed to do to maintain that track position. Now he's just going to start to get freight trained a little bit, but he bought Andrew Waring about 6/10, so that's a good move there. A little bit of contact between the 90 of Travis Whirling and the 88 of Matthew Dunhorse, who's fallen back to 7th position. We ride on board with Dunhorse now.
Yeah, he's got stuck up there on that top side here on this restart. Hopefully he can get some front. Yep, he should be able to clear to 99 here. Sure did. He got good forward drive off the corner.
Absolutely dives down the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, tucks it underneath, tucks it right in behind Travis Warling, but you're right, Abramitis stuck on that high side as well. He's got Steele stuck on that high side, Steele actually sliding it a little bit into turn 1 and 2. So now power's coming out of the corner. Matthew Thunhorst trying to push Travis Warling through.
Should mention the last 2 laps, Waring and Challenger both ran their fastest lap of the race here. So these guys are really starting to pick it up here as we get near halfway, actually just past halfway.
They're expecting to get another caution soon. Based upon how much racing we're getting going around here. But look at this, Steele absolutely stuck on that high side, nowhere to go. Still a little bit of a battle going on behind all of this. I believe that is between Nathan Dowd and Brian Barnes for 13th position, as well as Steele is able to get in line, and he's actually going to get dropped down to the bottom side by Jeff Schmeier now.
Yeah, Steele has had plenty of opportunities to go to the bottom, and I commend him for not making a move like that. Not that again, he's had plenty of opportunities to do it, and he could choose to do it, and he has every right to do this, but he knows he has 85 lap older tires, so don't go put yourself in a vulnerable spot to where somebody drives it in there and sends you packing.
So Steele just stuck there on the high side as he gets freight trained. A nice battle, though, between Nathan Dowd and Ray Partridge there for the 14th position. Partridge not able to get a position. As Steele has gone from leading the race down to 10th position in only about 5 laps.
Also, side note, we might want to talk to Dougie Beard. Whoever is on that camera right there needs a raise. Yeah, that rotating boom camera there going through the grass of 1 and 2. That's impressive. Absolutely.
And still going strong is Andrew Waring over Christian Challoner and Ozzy Milwain Abramitis down to the 4th position, with Travis Warling in 5th. Those are your top 5 right now as they run on track. And looking like everyone is pretty calm all the way back down to 11th position, where Steele is still holding up the crew. We're looking at Travis Warling, who's getting pressure from Thunhorst. Thunhorst did not get a good opportunity on that restart, dropped all the way back to 6th. Remember, he was up in 3rd at one point.
Yeah, if you're Matt, you just got to kind of shake off that restart. Nothing you can do. It was a tough situation. So in this case, again, let the race come back to you. Make the passes when you can make them. Do not try to push this car, because that's when mistakes are made, and that's where all of a sudden you can find yourself out of this race instead of battling for a top 5 or maybe even a win later.
Yeah, Thunhorst's first stint is
here's a good run.
To go by. Yeah, look at this run. He's going to be plenty patient, and plenty patient he is, showing his nose to Warling. Decides to back out of it, interestingly enough. He is in no hurry to put pressure on those front tires.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm okay with that, I think. And now I've probably been the person to make that move, only because that's me. And I'm not the smartest racer in the world, but obviously great job showing patience here by Thunhorst.
Absolutely, but it has put him 3 seconds behind our leaders. So unfortunately, this patience is putting him further and further afield of the battle he was on the back of. So he does want to get by soon, gets a nice run. This is a better one this time. He's going to look to the bottom side. Is he going to send it in this time? Yes.
Nice clean pass. Nice job by Waring to let that pass happen and jump right back in line.
Travis Warling letting Matthew Thunhorst go by. Matthew Thunhorst into the 5th position. Travis Warling down to 6th. A little bit of a clip there of the curb sends Thunhorst a little high off of the corner, but able to keep it back going.
So Ryan Steele's kind of settled, it looks like, in the 12th position as of right now. He's got about a 10th on Dowd, but he's kind of settled in, so you wonder if the tires are maybe bouncing out a little bit. I talked about the plateauing. Of course, I say that as Dowd gets to his inside.
Dowd to his inside. Steele's not going to have any traction up there on the high side. That being said, he's been up there for long enough. He's starting to pave a second lane as Dowd washes up a little bit. Fortunately, was clear of Steele before washing up there, so Dowd able to clear Steele. Brian Barnes is going to be the next one to attempt it.
Barnes going to get that run on the bottom side, gets good drive off, a little bit of damage on that right side of that car.
Pushing the back and the right side, so he's the one who got clobbered, I think, by Brian Halleck in that last caution. So Brian Barnes trying to punch it underneath his Dog Bear teammate there, but these two cars hanging tough with each other.
Now, when I talk about drive off, for those who maybe not up to par on racing terminology or that kind of thing, basically drive off is where the rear tires are able to grip the track and go off of the corner. It's basically what I mean by drive off. The forward drive, basically, is when the wheels don't spin anymore. That means or when they do spin, that means you have no forward drive off the corner.
So Steele falling back even farther now as Ray Partridge is starting to go around him, and next up will be Kevin Hill. So Steele almost has made his transit to the back of the field. Still got a couple of cars left to get by him. This is Brian Halleck, the extremely damaged Brian Halleck. Let's see how they're going to navigate this. Not well. Contact between Halleck and Steele. Fortunately, everyone's okay, but a little bit of damage there. Look at this. That's Kevin Hill making a move on Ray Partridge, trying to dive it down the bottom side. Partridge trying to cover it off. He takes it deep into the corner. So does Kevin Hill. Both of these guys powering off the corner. Can't keep it down.
Yeah, great job by Partridge there to hold off for that position. But definitely getting a little dicey back there mid-pack here with the lap traffic and obviously the strategy on Steele's car there. Martinsville racing at its finest right here.
Absolutely, nose to tail. And here, speaking of nose to tail, here's our leaders. Andrew Waring has now got Christian Chandler for company once again. So, yeah, we're definitely in part 2 of this one, and crossing into lap 120, so 119 laps completed. You start to wonder when Christian's going to put the bumper to the 3 to move him. He wants to make sure to save it late enough that Waring can't get back at him, but he doesn't want to save it so late that he can't give it a couple shots if he has to.
Well, and I've been watching this battle on my screen here for a little while, and Challenger's just been patient. That's what he's been pretty much most of this race. I mean, he had the one little issue there with the lap car when they were trying to get around the 44, but otherwise it's been clean racing. Challenger's been great to keep it clean with Waring. You got Milwain there behind them, but Milwain, as we've seen most of this race, these team cars have been kind of falling off on the long run here. So if Milwain, unless they made adjustments, his car you would expect maybe to fall off here in the next 20 or 30 laps. But the car I'm watching now is Abramitis, because this is his first chance to be in clean air, and he's only about 2 seconds back right now.
2 seconds back, lapping a little bit slower than the 3 cars ahead of him. He looks very tight off the corner, though, Chris.
Which that could have been an adjustment, too, he was making, because obviously he was in a bunch of battles there early in this race, and he might have been a little loose center. As, the 21 finally blew a motor. He done.
Brian Halleck, unfortunately, has blown his motor. He's back in the pits safely. We're looking at the battle between Justin Kirby and Brenton Foster for the 9th position. Justin in the 58 machine and Brenton Foster in the 23. Oh, Brenton, late dive down to the inside. Ooh, boy, that was close. Justin Kirby late braking just enough to keep Foster's front bumper from touching his rear.
Give an inch, take a mile. That's pretty much what Kirby did there. A little late apex entry there in the 23. That's the one counter to a diamond. If you diamond, you're leaving the bottom open, and you're leaving yourself suspect to get turned into the wall potentially in this situation here. So Kirby's got to be very defensive here and be very careful. He can continue to hit his marks, but he almost can't get mad if this 23 puts it in there and he ends up turning across them. And they hit each other almost there.
Foster saying, hey, if you don't let me by soon, the bumper's coming. It's going to be a little heavier than that. So Kirby under some heavy pressure, and he does not want to let Foster by. Is this going to escalate? Foster, he's going to need to get a better run than that to send Kirby around. To send Kirby up the lane. So let's see what happens here. Can Foster get the run he's looking for? Still not good enough this time.
Watching, wondering about the battle up front. It's still 2 tenths. I'm watching it over here on my telemetry. So this is the fight right now to watch right here is this battle for 8th.
Here we go. Foster's going to send it. Oh, there it is. He moves him. And a little bit of retaliation there from Kirby as he just tries to save the car, decides to let it drift out. Oh, more contact behind. Oh, my goodness. That was Nathan Dowd almost getting sent around there by Wayne Hutchison.
That's one of those, hey, once, hey, I'm here. Twice, all right, this is your warning. 3 times, bye-bye.
That is Martinsville short track racing, absolutely right there. And, no love lost between those two, but at some point, you got to move.
Well, Kirby's going to put that in the back of his head for later.
Kirby not super happy about it on the radio either, so...
Actually, no, he actually was just explaining what he was doing there. He didn't say anything to the 23 at all there. So you almost wonder if he expected it. And if so, you know what? That's cool, because a lot of people on iRacing would have been like furious and maybe even raging at that. And it's like, all right, look, you're in the way. So if you're going to get mad that somebody moved you out of the way because you're in the way, you better get used to it.
And you got to put yourself there in that position to get moved, because you don't want to just give it up.
Now he said something.
Oh, here we go with Dowd.
Kirby just said to Brent, he's like, if you'd have let me, or if you'd got a better run, I'd have let you go down the straightaway.
Sure. That's what they all say. All right, so unfortunately Kirby up into the slag those last couple of corners, so Dowd and Hutchison able to get by. Kirby now starting to drop like a rock, unfortunately, down to 12th position.
Yeah, Waring running 78 last time by. I think Challenger's just being patient with him here behind him. Ran an 80, and then Milwane's been hanging there about 1 second actually back in this race as of right now. So the eSport cars, as you mentioned a little bit ago, maybe made some adjustments to their cars, and then they've got something under them now.
Absolutely. So Milwane just hanging out back there. Tom Abermitis, his car has not been looking good this run. Very tight off of the corners, means he has to get on the power even later. So he's now down to about 1.5 seconds behind Milwane. Funhorst still trying to close the gap to Abermitis, but he's playing the long game just like he was in the first stint. He's 1 second back of Tom Abermitis and has been slowly closing over the last couple of laps. Travis Warling has cleared Joey Haynes now and is in 6th position. Haynes, though, is the one who's been falling back of the Evolved Sim Sports drivers this time by. He's down there in the 7th position. But Jeff Schmeier in 8th, doing a decent job today, with Bretton Foster in the 9th spot, and Nathan Dowd rounding out your top 10 as Dowd and Foster survived that kerfuffle that happened with Kirby.
I was wondering what terminology you'd use for that. Argy-bargy, kerfuffle.
Oh, I just take DJ's term. Kerfuffle works for me. So 65 to go as we go back up to our leaders, Andrew Waring and Christian Chowder. And Christian just hanging around just close enough to remind Waring that, hey, you make a mistake, I'm going to take this lead away. We're getting down to it, though, Chris. I know that Christian usually is not the kind of guy to get hot under the collar or steal a win away. And quite frankly, with the points lead he has, he doesn't have to move Andrew or make any enemies. And that might actually be the best thing for him for the rest of the championship.
Well, I'm more thinking the other way around here. Waring has done a fantastic job of being able to hold Christian back for all these laps. I mean, this has been well over probably 80 or 90 straight, or not 80 or 90 straight laps, but 80 or 90 laps in general that Challenger's been right there on the back bumper of this 3-car.
Absolutely. I think it would be, as we are crossing the line next time, I think it would be about 100 laps of green flag led by Andrew Waring over the course of this race. So doing a great job holding back Christian Challenger, just doing exactly what he needs to do. Ozzy Milwane has fallen back another couple of tenths, so he's definitely out of this battle. It's really between the two of them here, as Christian's starting to close the gap a little bit, trying to put a little bit of more pressure on Waring on corner entry.
Yeah, these two are definitely showed that they are the class of the field right now. So as I'm watching the gap back to Thunhurst even go further and further back. So it looks like it's going to be these two settling it out here with 60 laps to go, unless something dramatic happens. But I think you've nailed it on the head when you said that this Challenger, does he push the envelope here to move somebody out of the way to win a race like this? I mean, when you think about it, though, this Majors League, all these races that these guys run are major races, and I don't mean that with a pun involved. I mean, they're big time races. Like, this race emulates the race that happened last night, as a matter of fact, at Martinsville, which was the Valley Star 300 at Martinsville. It's the actual big-time late model race at Martinsville. So these races are big-time events that the major series holds. So in your head, you're like, man, do I really want to sit here and finish second at we'll call it a huge event? No, I don't.
They call them jewel races in F1, and the funny thing about the major series is they're all jewel races.
Right.
So you kind of have to, if everyone's super, nobody is kind of a thing. So the question is, do you take that risk here, Or do you just play it nice and let Andrew win and take your points home and hope the trophy comes later?
If you're not first, you're last.
Especially in NASCAR. So, as we continue to run, Andrew Waring leading over Christian Challoner. Ozzie Milwain about a second back with Tom Abramitis another second and a half back of that. Thunhorst starting to fall back of Abramitis a little bit, down to about a second, 1.2 seconds off of Thunhorst, off of Abramitis now. That's your top 5 with Warling, Haynes, Schmeier, Foster, and Dowd rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye on this. I'm watching 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th still because they haven't totally gotten away from each other. They're spread out a little bit. But I'm just waiting to see if Kirby gets back to Foster. And if so, what happens?
I think it's going to take a restart for that to happen. And
probably.
I mean, we've seen the cautions come late in a run, so it's entirely possible that could happen again. 55 to go this time by.
Kevin Hill back here has lost 8 positions from the start of this race, battling Barnes for 13th. You wonder how Kevin's car, how poorly it's running right now. He's probably unhappy with it.
Well, it looks to me like he is, yeah, he's tight everywhere. The whole car is tight, and it's so tight that it's starting to snap loose on exit for him. So, not a fun car to drive for him at all.
And he's actually doing the diamond. You see him there. He goes topside down to the bottom here to the inside. Great run off. See if he's going to drive it in there. He got him.
Yeah, Brian Barnes with the major damage, unfortunately, just does not have the pace right now to keep battling up there with the drivers ahead of him. He took an opportunity in the pit stop to get a couple of so he got some good track position, try and improve that if there were more cautions towards the end of this race, but unfortunately just not able to keep the pace going right now.
Lap time's falling off about 6 to 7 tenths right now from the fastest laps of the race. So again, tires are starting to plateau a little bit here. I think if another yellow comes, you're going to see these leaders on pit road one final time, but otherwise they're clean and green all the way to the finish here with 50 laps to go next time by for these leaders. So it's been a great race to watch, especially amongst these 2 leaders, but now they're also getting up into lap traffic here, which could play a big role.
Absolutely. So looking back at the 3 and the 1, the 2 leading drivers of this race, and they have been doing this dance in this way for most of the night. Andrew Waring and Christian Challoner. That restart was exciting with Ryan Steele, who's now down to 15th position, able to pass Brian Barnes for 14th, but unfortunately just the lack of tires ends up biting him a little bit and falls back quite a bit. But Waring and Challoner catching up the back of Rob Powers, Brent Kirby, and Lynn Kinchlow once again to try and pass those drivers now. It's important to note that Rob Powers is a lap down. Brent Kirby is 2 laps down, and Lynn Kinchlow is on the lead lap just like he was last time we approached him.
Watching these cars as they go into the corners, and I'm watching the back ends almost slide out. If you look really closely, the leaders, the 3 and the 1, their left fronts are almost locking up on corner entry. I mean, you could see the wheel actually slow up a little bit, like it's locking up slightly. That's how hard these cars are being driven into these corners, especially as you watch them down into turn 3. I mean, you can almost see them slightly locking up a little bit.
Absolutely, that's how hard they're pushing. Waring touching the outside wall just a little bit there off of 1 and 2, so he's going to end up with some stripes from Martinsville on the right side of that machine. Oh, Challoner clips the inside curve just a little bit. That's going to lose him a couple of tenths, but here we go, approaching Brent Kirby and Lynn Kinchlow. They've already made it past Powers. Kirby's going to be more likely to let them by, but we saw how hard Lynn Kinchlow fought last time.
I think that's going to be very interesting when they get to that 44, and you wonder if now you haven't heard it obviously in chat here, and I don't know if these guys hang out in a similar, like a Discord or something like that together, but you wonder if Waring has somebody or a way to connect with the 44 and say, dude, can you work with me a little more this time? I mean, we got less than 50 laps to go. Yes, you're on the lead lap, but maybe work something out with him.
I mean, if I'm Waring, I'm thinking to myself, when I get to Lynn, and if he doesn't let me go in one turn, I'm sending him around in the next because I ain't got time for that.
Right, that's pretty much what it comes down to now. You either got to get aggressive or be aggressive.
Yes, that's
I just
exactly
made up
right.
a word.
And not only that, we're within that 50 lap margin. So if you're gonna make moves, now is the time. So all these drivers, like, it's not time to be friends anymore.
No.
So here
No,
we
this
go.
is not the time. And you see the 57 time get out of the way here. So this is very interesting.
All right, so Brent Kirby going to go up to the high side, let these guys go. He's going to go so high, he almost touches the wall, but fortunately
Marbles
keeps
took
it
him.
off of it. He decided to go for a ride on the conveyor belt and hung on, but now it's time to catch up to the back of Lynn Kinchlow, who's got Brian McGreevy on lapped car for him up ahead of him. Lynn is likely going to do what he did last time and stick it to the bottom side. Let's see what happens here
Now,
as Andrew Waring approaches his back bumper.
Don't be surprised to see Challoner run a diamond here to get around the 3 car, especially if he gets stuck behind the 44. He's defending here. Watch this. He cuts to the bottom here.
He goes to the bottom. Waring tries to go to the bottom. A move there from Challoner, trying to move the 3 out. He's going to go to the high side and try and do it again here, as he's going to hope that Waring gets stuck on the bottom.
Cut it back down. That's exactly what he's got to do here.
Here we go. He's going to try and stick it to the
send
bottom
it.
side. He's going to try and stick his nose in as Waring takes it deep into turns 3 and 4. He's going to try and hang on the outside with the marbles. He's going to go side by side with Lynn Kinchlow. Which lane does Challoner choose? He goes to the high side as well.
Man, if you're the 44, how do you... Oh, you got to be so careful. You don't want to wreck the leader, obviously, here.
The 44 is now, is he going to let Challoner by? He's going to hang on to it. He's going to keep pressing.
I mean, usually the leader's the toughest to pass and or to let go. And then once the leader gets past you, usually the second place car is like, all right, go on. But that's not the case here.
No, he makes it hard for Challoner. And so now Challoner's lost 5/10 to Waring. He's going to have to gain that back as Brian McGreevy goes to the high side. Lynn Kinchlow in the lucky dog position.
EEP, an equal opportunity passer.
So 38 laps to go as this has brought Ozzie Milwane a little bit back into the fight. Ozzie only about 8/10 back now, so that absolutely held up the top 2.
I mean, Ozzy, is this maybe a sign of things to come? I mean, we all know Ozzy Osbourne has the song Crazy Train, what sits on the backstretch at Martinsville, train tracks. Just saying.
Absolutely. Now, P6 is a nice battle between Travis Worling and Joey Haynes. Joey Haynes starting to claw back a little bit of pace right now on Worling, as those two have gotten close over the last couple of laps. Behind them, Jeff Schmeier and Brenton Foster are also having their own battle.
Foster doing a great job on this long run here. He got past Kirby a little bit ago, used a little fender on him, and now is come all the way up here to catch the 30 car for 8th. Great job here by Brennan.
Absolutely, that Mega Racing Team driver ducking it down to the... He's rolling the bottom, like you said,
Very
Chris.
well.
Absolutely rolling the bottom.
That's the key around here. Believe it or not, you want to use brake going into the corner, but let off and let the car roll around. You do that, that's how you save your tires right there, and then roll back to the throttle coming off. That's exactly how you save your tires here at Martinsville.
Absolutely. We saw Chase Elliott do that to great effect a couple of years ago to win the Martinsville race, and we saw Jeff Gordon do that.
He was one of the kings of it. Him, Jimmy Johnson, Richard Petty back in the day. That's how he did it.
We got a pass going on for 12th position as Kevin Hill ducks underneath of Justin Kirby.
Oh, caution!
Oh, where did this come from?
It's out of turn 2.
It's Lynn Kinchlow.
Kinchlow, wow. Oh, this changes the race a little bit. Gets high up the track in the marbles. He's going all loose and into the wall. And
Ozzie Milwane, the 3rd place driver, going side by side with Lynn Kinchlow. Kinchlow decides to just take it straight because he brakes a little bit too late, I think. Here, look at this. Why is Lynn Kinchlow battling with the 3rd place driver, though?
it's a fair question. He has the right to, I guess, the track in that case, but unfortunately there makes a mistake. It's up there in the marbles and sent for the ride on the conveyor belt, as you said.
Now,
we should see the leaders on pit road, maybe?
But no.
No. Oh, my.
Jeff Schmeier has come down. So has Nathan Dowd, Justin Kirby, Ryan Steele, and Brian Barnes. Partridge stays out. Kevin Hill stays out.
That means the leaders aren't pitting. Your bed's made right now.
This is it. They're on these tires to the end. Here's the question. Do the people who are behind the leaders decide to come in like...
No, I don't think you can, because then you're putting yourself behind 5 cars at least on the lead lap. You still got 17 cars on the lead lap here when we go back green, because, well, then again, it'll be 16 because Kinchlow's not going to get the lucky dog because he would have been But yeah, no, your bed's made right now. What you decided
right.
to do is your move.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, this is it. Because the other guys behind decided to come in, these guys can't pit even if there is another caution because they go behind the guys who just did.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Schmeier, if you're Steele, if you're Barnes, Powers, those guys, your picker is going to put they're putting the stuff away and they're going to eat some ice cream or a hot dog or something. Partridge on pit road.
All right, so our first...
Never mind. I was wrong.
Our first drivers to take pit stops are Nathan Dowd, Justin Kirby, Jeff Schmeier, Ryan Steele, Brian Barnes, and Lynn Kinchlow, who's taking repairs. So it's actually down to Brian Barnes. So it's from 12th to 16th, decided to take tires. They're going to have about a second of lap speed on the rest of our drivers, and they're only going to be starting about 10 seconds once everything strings out again behind our leaders.
I'm curious to see how this plays with the way the track is set up right now with all the rubber on it. 1. 2, Martinsville's not hard or not easy to pass on. So I think in this situation you got to be careful of how you make the passes, 1, but 2, obviously with these guys on older tires racing now, could create chain effects and could see some checkups, could see some more wrecks. So this might be the beginning of, unfortunately, a chain of wrecks that could be coming because, as we all know, what happens when caution meets another caution, they breed bigger.
So the question is, who's going to get the jump off the line? Who's going to spin their tires? Is everyone going to make it clean through the front straightaway? We're going to find out here in a moment as the pace car is going to pull off here in a second. Andrew Warren is going to lead him to the line with Christian Challoner, Ozzie Milwain, Tom Abramitis, and Matthew Thunhorst, your top 5. Then you got Foster, Haynes, Hill, Hutchison, and Dowd down to 11th position. So I missed one. That was Kevin Hill. So here we go. Andrew Waring into the restart zone, goes immediately, gets an amazing jump on Challoner, and Milwain possibly has the inside line on Challoner. So Challoner stuck on the high side on old tires. Can he
23's around? Foster got turned in 1.
So that's going to be another caution. Brenton Foster spun around in turn 1, and this is an absolute boon for everyone in front.
Oh, Kevin Hill got him.
Absolutely sent. So let's watch it from the helicopter. Let's see what happens. Kevin Hill trying to get good speed into turn 1 to carry the momentum. Look at how bottled up they are there. Kevin Hill backs off, and now he's trying to ride the bumper of the 23. He's going to look to the inside. He looked for 3 wide there.
Yeah, it's a little aggressive, but unfortunate situation there. Yeah, there might have been a slight net code, but those cars were going to hit. So unfortunate situation there for the 23 that was having a fantastic run there, but yeah, it's one of those. I mean, yes, there's 25 laps to go, and you're getting to a desperate point of this race, but you got to be careful with moves like that.
So guess who just gained the most out of that restart? Justin Kirby, who took tires, was able to snake his way through, pass Nathan Dowd and Ryan Steele and Kevin Hill, and make his way up into 10th position. So Justin Kirby, in a really good position for this next restart, only 5 rows behind the lead, and he's going to have the freshest tires of the group.
You might say that's a little bit of karma on his part then, because obviously he and the 23 had contact earlier, and now a caution that has the 23 involved gets Kirby the advantage up front.
So Brenton Foster into pit lane to take some repairs, possibly
tires.
Take the tires he did not take. So he's going to go to the back of the field, and we're going to re-rack and do it again, Chris.
Yeah, otherwise it was a pretty smooth restart there. Everybody got off pretty well. Like, if I'm Challoner, you almost have to expect Waring is going to go early because of his teammate there behind him.
Yeah, but if I'm Waring this time, I'm saying to my teammate, hey, I'm going to go as late as possible, or I'm going to go and try and get Christian Challoner to jump.
Problem is, if he does that, then he puts his teammate at risk of not being able to get second. Because at that point, Challoner's going to go, and they're still going to be side by side almost, if you will. So if the 3 can go as early as he can in the restart zone, that 14 is going to have the shot to make that jump.
Well, the question is, with 20 to go, when we come to the green flag, do you play the team game or do you play your game?
No, I played a team game here, at least to get first and second. Let the teammates settle it out for the win, because here, this is exactly how I could see myself playing this out. If I'm in wearing shoes right now, I'm telling Ozzy, look, when we go here, are we going single file restart? Oh, this changes everything.
So are we doing single file restart?
It looks like, you know what I think this is? This goes back to that setting on iRacing, that when you have a quick caution after a caution, it becomes a single file restart.
All right, so this changes everything. So Waring up to the high side, and he's going to drag us through the slag again. So this is on old tires, no less. Quite old tires. Who's going to make it off of turn 4 alive? We're about to find out as Waring takes us into the restart zone. When's he going to go? He waits. He goes about halfway through the restart zone. Not as good of a jump this time on Challenger, but they really starts to bottle up behind.
Cars making moves into one.
Lots of cars trying to make moves. Justin Kirby trying to make moves into one. He can't quite get it done, but Waring with a good lead over Challenger and Ozzy Milwane right now. Pretty well single file until we go back to about 10th position, where it's side by side between Kevin Hill and Ryan Steele.
Kevin Hill trying
to power it through on the high side there.
Everybody kind of holding position right now. The battle continues there. Steele's got to be probably feeling good with 4 new shoes on that
Kevin! He's very deep and sliding all the way through the corner.
Goes
on the Proudfoot. Now we've got a crash on the front stretch with Kevin Hill. Big check up.
Brent Kirby involved. The 4's involved.
Nobody put on their brakes on that one.
I mean, this all started actually. Turn 4 was somebody had went around. I didn't see who it was.
Brandon Proudfoot went around. So he went around on his own, and then this happened on the front straightaway. And then everyone behind him just decided to keep the foot down.
That was a lick for Hill.
So Nathan Dowd with major damage into the pits. Gonna have to take the fast repair. Already took his fresh set of tires. It's right on board with Dowd, as Dowd was right behind the sliding Kevin Hill. And actually, it was him who dropped down to the bottom side who ended up clipping the 30 that caused this wreck.
So basically, Dowd made a reaction to Hill sliding up the track. He almost ran him over, so he moved to the middle lane. And because of that, you had a car coming up from the bottom and created a 3-wide situation. So just short track racing with less than 20 to go now coming into play. And now this is where the leaders are like, see, this is why I stayed out the whole time.
Yep, this is exactly why. So now we get the first driver. It's still Justin Kirby who has the fresh tires. He didn't move at all in that restart. Still only up to 10th. If we keep doing this, we're going to have a green-white checker, and Justin's not going to be able to make any more positions.
I'm trying to think this through real quick. Waring is led every lap, right?
I believe so. Well, no, we started off... Yeah, Ryan Steele.
Oh, yeah, okay, yep. Steele led laps, according to Joe. Thank you for reminding me of that. I'm just like, well, so I was wondering if Waring was going wire to wire here, potentially. But, yeah, Steele did lead a couple laps there.
I will say this,
on that restart.
Chris, the top 3 are as they were from their pole positions, from their starting positions. So
yeah, Ozzy's had a little more harder than the other 2, though.
Yes. So definitely an eventful restart that one was. We're going to restart this one with probably 14 to go. Andrew Waring still in the lead with Christian Challenger, Ozzy Milwane, Tom Abramitis, and Matthew Thunhorst in the top 5. Then you got Travis Warling, Joey Haynes, Wayne Hutchison, Ray Partridge, and our first driver on fresh, well, not fresh anymore, but the freshest of the tires ahead of them, Justin Kirby.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. We'll get another single file restart here. If I'm Waring, I'm sorry. I keep saying Herring. I understand the whole high side move, but you can move to the high side coming off turn 4 and stay out of the clag and the rubber up there at the top of the track here.
I mean, he might be thinking that it's better for him to go up there because everyone else will be in the clag, and at this point he wants as many yellow flags as can exist.
That's true. Yeah, he's obviously be holding on the lead, and it takes out the battle of Challenger now. I think at the same time on the opposite foot here, I think this opens up the door for Challenger to say, all right, I think I've got to be aggressive now.
Well, I mean, if you move him, you could get a penalty, but it looks like it's going to be a double file restart this time around. So
Oh,
The
you know what? Yeah.
iRacing stewards deciding to follow their own rulebook, which is great because it gives us a good race, and I'm sure I will go read the rules and figure out why this happened later. But here we are in a double file restart with Christian Challoner, well, rather Andrew Waring leading them off. So Christian's a little bit ahead of Andrew going into turn 4. He's going to have to let Andrew...
He's going to go early.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Here we go. Into the restart zone. He launches immediately, leaving Christian Challoner in the dust. Also, his teammate in the dust. Christian's got a full lane down to the bottom if he wants to take it. Christian stays up high. Does Christian have the black flag? I think he might.
He does have a penalty. Challoner has a penalty.
He was a nose ahead of Andrew Waring. He takes the penalty. He's got to come to the pits. This opens up the door for Waring. This is what I was afraid of. This is why I mentioned it when we were coming into turn 4, that he was a nose ahead. So unfortunately, he's into the pits. He's going to drop down to 17th at the earliest. Lots of racing side by side right now. Tom Abramitis and Thunhorse for the 3rd position. Joey Haynes, Travis Worling, Wayne Hutchison, Ray Partridge behind as well.
That's just unbelievable what happened there. But now the door opens up. Does Ozzy have anything for his teammate here?
Here we go side by side with, oh my goodness, contact there from Abramitis. That's close stuff there. Joey Haynes got into Abramitis, and now that's Christian Challoner back out onto the track, and he's right in the way.
And Challoner's only a lap down, so he can go here and try to maybe go get this lap back the hard way. Or no, he's going to get out of the way, it looks like.
Absolutely, side by side between Joey Haynes and Travis Worling as they go to the corner. More contact between the two of them as they go through 1 and 2. Still side by side coming off the corner. Andrew Waring, though, free and clear in the front with only 10 to go. And Joey Haynes still trying to hang it out on the bottom side with Worling on the high side. Worling, it's pretty clean up there.
Contact around goes to 23.
The 23's around of Brenton Foster once again.
Oh, and Challoner gets a piece of it. That's going to take his lucky dog away.
So Brenton Foster, unfortunately, with more damage, he got clipped by the 58 car of Justin Kirby. Guess what?
Hello.
This absolutely.
Christian Challoner right there gets into the wreck. That takes his lucky dog away. He's the only car a lap down. So he would have gotten a lucky dog and been back on the lead lap here.
Justin pulled a Joey Logano.
Well, and Brent, that's a pretty shallow entry for the 23 there too.
This looks very familiar.
Yes, it does.
Well,
ooh.
The stewards will probably have something to say about that one, or at least they'll discuss it. But this is going to take us into probably a 4 or 3 lap shootout.
For those with the bingo card available tonight, wanting the retaliation, that you can now cross that box off. Next to the term hot dog being used, next to, let's see, what else did we, bump and run being used.
Kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle, yep, if you got that card, you might have won your bingo game tonight. Congratulations.
Gotta figure out what the free space is. I think we'll figure it out by the end of the race. But, yes, take their spare car. That's the free. That's the
spare car.
Space.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, Joe. Thank you, Joe, for the he helped us on that one.
All right, so
Justin Morton said in chat best, race car drivers don't forget.
So Andrew Waring still leading now over Ozzie Milwane and Matthew Thunhorse. So this makes an interesting. This is going to be interesting as to whether or not it's going to be a single file or a double file restart. Because if it's double file, this actually gives a benefit to Thunhorse, who really hasn't had much luck over the course of this race. So if his luck continues as it is, it will be single file for him. If he is going to get a stroke of luck this time, he'll line up right behind our leader, Andrew Waring, and maybe have an opportunity to stay inside of Milwane off of 1.
In the best tires right now, 9th position, Ryan Steele, pitted at 169, everybody else at 93.
He's going to line up alongside Justin Kirby, another driver who took fresh tires.
Kirby, I have a feeling this battle between he and Foster's not over with, because Foster's going to start literally a row behind him.
Well, that's terrifying.
And I'm pretty sure that Justin is not getting a bananas Foster from Breton anytime soon.
Double file restart it will be. So Thunhorse gets his stroke of luck for this race. Milwane's going to line up next to his teammate of Waring. So it's going to be Andrew Waring, Ozzie Milwane, Matthew Thunhorst, Tom Abramitis, Joey Haynes, Travis Worling, Wayne Hutchison, Ray Partridge, Ryan Steele, and Justin Kirby in for the start of this race. Those are your top 10. Waring is going to lead them to the line. Let's see when he goes. This may be our last restart, or it may lead to a green-white checker. Here we go into the start zone. Waring leaves it to the last possible moment and gets off well. That's going to cause a little bit of front end damage for Thunhorst, who got into the back of him a little bit, but Thunhorst dives it down to the inside of Milwane. Milwane trying to hold strong on the high side, but he's not going to have enough power to do it. That's going to see Thunhorst diving it down into the inside of 3 and 4 rather, and he's going to be able to clear Milwane.
That might be the winning pass here, but Thunhorst gets clear for second here. Let's see if Ozzie dives it.
Ozzie tried to dive it down there, but it's still bumper to bumper for them. Thunhorst, though, only about 4/10 behind. It's still side by side between Travis Worling and Joey Haynes up ahead of them. And it's very close between Ryan Steele and Ray Partridge. They're side by side as well. Oh my goodness, that's Travis Worling up on the high side, but Joey Haynes below him. We've seen this before. The two of them battling. Oh, Thunhorst gets the bumper from Milwane. Thunhorst gets turned and Milwane goes around. They're all wrecking. It's going to be the big one at Martinsville. And a green-white checker, and who the heck knows what the field's going to look like after this.
That is a track blocker, and Abramitis is on his side.
Abramitis has to take a tow. Oh my God!
Who's not in this wreck?
Look at this. It's just a checkup. It's a whole checkup as Thunhorst was slow through the center of the corner. Everyone just stacks up, and it creates this track blockage.
I'm looking to see who the first car to get through. You know, this might have been one of those wrecks where you want to go inside the barrels there. You can actually access that road over there.
The 25. The 25 looks like the first one to make it through. Who was that?
Challoner's probably not going to get the lucky dog here because, well, one, he just hit the wall there, but two, he had to stop pretty much. Watch out for that car spinning backwards.
Wasn't this one? Must have been the 20. Did Burton Foster make it through?
I think he did. Yeah. Well, Ryan Steele's up to 5th now. Schmeier's up to 6th.
So
Nathan Dowd's up to 4th. How about Wayne Hutchinson's 3rd now?
Yeah, so Wayne was the first one to make it through. This is Foster. He did not make it through. Wayne Hutchison in the 17 came from absolutely nowhere to make it through this wreck. He did collect damage, but he's in 3rd position right now.
Like Hutchison was right around the 6th position or so when this wreck breaks out.
So here it's going to happen in this corner. He gets a nose.
Oh, that's
He gets more collected. My goodness, I don't think there's going to be anyone left without damage, but not many people are taking their fast repairs. So the first driver to have taken their fast repair on this caution is Jeff Schmeier in 6th. Everyone else is carrying damage ahead of him.
And the crazy part is he's still 6th.
Yes. Nathan Dowd on fairly fresh tires is in 4th position right now. So we've got Schmeier, who just took his pit stop and fast repair. We've got Nathan Dowd, who's got a little bit of damage, but has about 10 laps of racing on those tires. Dowd's lining up in 4th. Schmeier's lining up in 6th. Dowd might be in the catbird seat, but man, 2 laps, rather, Chris, that's a very short amount of time to try and make 4 passes.
Yeah, the first of 2 green-white checkers that we're going to get here in this event. But I think the line of the night, though, came, I didn't hear who actually said it, but the line I heard was it really worth it, Ozzie?
So, they line up double file. Let me read you through the top 10. Andrew Waring, Matthew Thunhorst, Wayne Hutchison, Nathan Dowd, Ryan Steele, Jeff Schmeier, Joey Haynes, Brenton Foster, Ray Partridge, and Lynn Kinchlow round out your top 10. So, Andrew...
twice!
Yes! Lucky dog 3 times. Andrew Waring now in position to lead them off with a damaged Thunhorst on his outside. Here we go. Warren goes immediately, leaving the whole field in the dust, and an extremely
17's off
damaged
the pace.
car, very much leaving everyone. Oh my goodness, and we've got a spinner. Is it going to be a wreck? He saved it. Can everyone get off the corner cleanly? The answer is yes, but now Thunhorst on the back of Waring for the lead, and he's got some pace.
Should I warn you there were 4 wide now into 3 just a minute ago?
And it's a caution! It's a caution!
I didn't want to make it like...
Rob Powers, you had to curse it, Chris. You had to curse it.
I didn't want to take it from the leaders, but I'm like, they're 4 wide into 3. You're going to see it here in a second. What?
So this all starts... Oh my goodness. This all starts with Ryan Steele.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars deep into 3.
It starts with Ryan Steele, and that causes a checkup, which then causes the 68 of Brian McGreevy to go around with the 47 of Rob Powers, and that brings out the caution. So it will be our second. Look at this. Look at this disaster.
Right here.
Look at this disaster. That's off of the initial slowness, and there's oh man.
And who is that Hill that sends it in there?
So unbelievably, Ryan Steele kept it going straight.
Went to a Martinsville race and a Talladega race broke out.
I mean, we've had 2 big ones, and one of them happened during a green-white checker. So yeah, you're right, Chris.
Wow.
So leave it to the majors to be epic from start to finish and in multiple ways. Here we are with Andrew Waring. Man, I thought Thunhorst was going to get to him. This is going to be an interesting restart for sure, because is Thunhorst going to try and go early? Is Waring going to try and fake him out? I mean, we've got people... Jeff Schmeier still in that in 4th position now with Nathan Dowd in 3rd. Are those 2 fresh tire boys going to make their way up to the front and try and challenge for the lead? They're absolutely in a position to try and pip a win from Waring and Thunhorst.
This is like crazy. I mean, Dowd and Schmeier. I mean, how many laps have they been outside of where we're at right now? How many laps have they been in the top 10 all night? If any.
I mean, Schmeier's been around 10th over the course of the race. Dowd has been down or mired in the top 15. And now both of them, having taken those pit stops and managing to avoid the big one, are in a great position to try and win this race.
Like, forgot to plural that. Big ones.
Alrighty. So, 6:30 virtual standard time for these drivers. It's, I believe we would call this municipal sunset. What? It's something like that.
What? It's called the witching hour.
It sure seems like it. I can report that our director has reported that Christian Challenger's back in the lead lap. In fact, he is in 13th position.
He could end up in the top 3 before the end of this thing if they all wreck again.
Well, you bet. Okay, so we are going single file restart, which actually benefits Dowd and Schmeier more than you think. So, reading off the top 10 again: Andrew Waring, Matthew Thunhorst, Nathan Dowd, Jeff Schmeier, Joey Haynes, Brenton Foster, Ray Partridge, Ryan Steele, Brian Barnes, and Lynn Kinchlow. Andrew Waring has Matthew Thunhorst and then 2 cars on fresher tires, and he's taken them up into the marbles. We've seen this time and time again, and the cars behind are not super nose to tail. From about 6th on back, Waring actually hits the outside wall, and now they get going. Thunhorst with a good run, and look at that. That is Schmeier trying to look to the bottom of Dowd on the beginning of this restart. This is the final restart of the day. This will be deciding what happens. The second green-white checker. Waring leaving Thunhorst in the dust as he goes around 3 and 4. Will we make it to the end green?
Everybody clean through 1 and 2, 3 and 4, watching closely as the white flag comes out.
Matthew Thunhorst trying to put pressure on Waring, but Waring has led all day. Can he get it done? Waring, having led most of the laps of this race, probably about 180 out of the 212 we've done tonight. Coming around the final corner, Waring a little bit off at the apex, but it's not going to be enough for Thunhorst. Waring is going to take it home. Andrew Waring wins for Evolve Sim Sports.
What a dominant effort.
And fastest lap, the last lap at the end as well.
On old tires. What?
Christian Challenger able to come home with a 13th after his troubles, but let's talk about Dowd and Schmeier as well, putting in amazing performances and surviving the crashes to get 3rd and 4th. My goodness, what a race, Chris. Let's take this to a break so we can catch our breath and the drivers can catch theirs as well. Don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss the interviews we have and the race results afterward. Welcome back to what was an extremely epic Virginia is for Lovers 300 here with the Major Series Americas region. And oh my goodness, what a finish we had tonight. After two relatively uneventful heats, we had Andrew Waring come home with the win over Matthew Thunhorst, Nathan Dowd, Jeff Schmeier, and Joey Haynes rounding out your top five. My goodness, you gotta watch this, you gotta see this thing to believe it. Brenton Foster able to come home in sixth with Ray Partridge in seventh position. Ryan Steele, even after all of his troubles, comes home in eighth with Brian Barnes in ninth and Wayne Hutchison in the 10th position.
Should give credit to Brenton Foster real quick for coming back after that spin late in the race to get that top six finish. So great job on his part. Kirby finishing 11th, Justin that is. Ozzie Milwayne 12th. All these cars ended up in either the big wreck or other issues. Jason Wallet finishing 13th, Lynn Kinchlow 14th. Christian Challoner ends up 15th with Tom Abermitis in 16th. Travis Worling in 17th, Brian McGreevy 18th, Rob Powers and Kevin Hill wrapping up your top 20.
And then we've got the cars that did not finish. Brandon Proudfoot, 15 laps down. Britt Kirby, 34 laps down. Brian Halleck, 98 laps down. And unfortunately, Justin Morton did not make it halfway, finishing 160 laps down. All right, so that's going to take us to our winner tonight, Andrew Waring. And let's talk to Andrew. Andrew, my goodness, you had to hold off everything. You had to deal with everything tonight. You had to hold off Christian Challoner. You had to hold off everybody on the restarts, and then you had to survive a couple of big wrecks. How'd you do it?
Honestly, just a lot of luck, a lot of preparation. I'm pretty blown away. Historically, I don't do well in ovals at all in the majors, so I kind of didn't really expect this result, and I'm pretty surprised, to be honest. I didn't crack under pressure because having Christian behind me and Matt behind me and Ozzy and all those guys behind me for that close, that long was a nightmare. But yeah, I just think smart restarts. We played the team game well when we could, and some lap traffic that was worked really well, and then some opportunities taken, risky opportunities at that for sure. But I'm happy it paid off.
Absolutely. You basically put on a clinic today, leading by far the most laps and a very dominant drive for sure. But talk to me about the handling of this car, because it seemed like a lot of your teammates are struggling with the car being pretty tight on exit. I don't know how it felt for you, but you put in your fastest lap of the race right there and on your final lap. So talk to me about how you pulled that off.
Oh, I didn't realize that. We have thankfully we've grabbed Nathan Medina and David Gagarigo onto Evolve team, and they were able to provide a setup for this car. And yeah, I mean, this set, it got a little tight in these conditions for sure. But if you just cooled off, once they cooled off under caution, it was like they were new again. So they put together a beast, and it was a little greasy on the long run, but I honestly think Christian was dealing with the same things, and it looked pretty close between the top three guys when Matt, Christian, and I were there. So there was really nothing in it. So really good race, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, talk to me about the lap traffic. It seemed like most everyone was willing to let you by, but a couple of battles with Len Kenchel that got a little spicy. Talk to me about how that went for you.
Stressful for sure. I mean, the major series supports the iRacing rules in which lap cars are entitled to race, in which they are. I don't think it's very kind to do what he did. Like swerving to the low side out of the corner seems a little bit ridiculous when you're 2 laps down, and making the 2 leaders go on the outside when you're washing up yourself. It was really dangerous, but perfectly legal. And yeah, it was frustrating, but he's entitled to do that and drive however he wants. So, stressful, very stressful. But everything else was really relatively good. Lots of room under the braking zones for lap cars, and I don't think I got into anybody, so it's really clean race for me.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on the win, Andrew. Is there anyone you want to thank for this win today?
Like I said, we Nate and David, they worked their butts off to get this setup done, and all the Evolve guys. We've been testing a lot with the short turnaround in races, and this was one of the best races from a team point. So as a team owner, I'm also thrilled that we had an opportunity for almost a 1-2-3 at the end there. And we've just got some sponsors: TNT Promo, Direct Innovations, you guys at GSRC, and the majors for hosting everything. It's been a good streak of runs for me in the majors lately, and I hope to keep it going.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you next time out, Andrew. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that was Andrew Waring who won this race. Coming up in second is Matt Thunhorse, and he's with Chris.
Yeah, I got Matt here with me. Matt, obviously, a good race for you, good finish. Probably not exactly the way you wanted it to go, of course, with the drama there at the end. Let's talk about the 2 runs at first, because early in that race, when we got the first long green flag run, it looked like you on the long run had a pretty good car that could compete up there with the leaders. And then the second run, it seemed like your car maybe fell off at the end. Was there something you did different there to make that happen, or was it just an unfortunate situation, or that kind of thing? Because it looked like you had a chance maybe to win this race. It looked like early in the race.
Yeah, Chris, it was just one of those things. The car really didn't fall off. The only thing I kind of did foolishly was I wanted to make sure I didn't underfill and get to the end of this thing and run out. So I probably put in an extra 4 gallons I didn't need. But but other than that, the car was still good. Just the whole reason I kind of took myself out of the picture was when everybody took 2 tires there. I was just like, I wanted 4 just in case we had to get to a point where we take 2 at the end. I know my left sides are still good. So it's really just trying to fight back up to the pack. I think we came up from like 8th up to like 5th there, and we were making some ground on, I think it was Ozzy at the time, and Tom, I believe. But car was still good. I mean, I basically had the whole driver's door punched in there at the end, and if that second green white checker didn't happen, I had a real good feeling about what might happen that last lap. But we didn't make it in time, and so I mean, considering at one point I was facing 90 degrees and in front of basically a track blockage there at the end, I'll take a second, no doubt. It definitely felt like I earned being up there all front, and kept my nose clean, and things happened. We still came out, fortune smiling upon us there.
Yeah, you did a great job tonight. Let's talk about the end of that race. Obviously, a little bit of we'll call it short track Martinsville racing to end this race. Almost took you out, but you were able to keep it up there in a second. Talk about that situation a little bit there.
Yeah, when that restart happened, I ended up getting to the inside of Ozzy. I mean, I don't think I roughed them up at all or anything, but they just had a really good short run car there, and it's just one of those things that he tried putting the bumper to me in 3 and 4, and then I had a feeling he was going to drive in real hard, and he did it to me again in 1, and he tried knocking me off the track, and I tried to stay down, and then he did it again, and he knocked me sideways, and he just never got off me, and it's kind of like I said to him, was it worth it? So he tried roughing me up, but he kind of got the short end of that stick, but thankfully, because I thought pretty much at one point I was pretty ticked there, and then I kind of got hit, and I just kept the wheel straight, so I didn't overcorrect back to the right, and it kind of just knocked me back straight. And it's kind of like Justin Morton, my teammate, said. He hopped in, he's basically like, yeah, it looks like you just lit the match, had the explosion behind you, and just drove off grinning. So, that's the way it worked.
Hey, that works out, man. Great second place finish. I know it's got to feel pretty good at the end of this tough race, but give some shots over you like to.
Yeah, Chris, just, thank everybody at the majors that put all the work in, a little troublesome in spots, but most of the field did pretty good tonight. And so just Mike and the crew and all the guys in the field, I think we put on a good show, and just thank all the guys at Forge, some of the sponsors we have, Rethread Clothing Club, our clothing company, DMG United, my personal sponsor with Paul Savanik, and some of the people that hang around with me, and glad to have them on the car, and glad to put on a strong performance, and want to thank all the fans and everybody else that was watching. So I have to give a special shout out to someone else. I shouldn't be racing, technically taking up someone's office, so if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be racing tonight. So shout out to her as well, and sometimes it's good to have family to have you back. So
Absolutely.
thanks to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely, Matthew. Thank you, man, for your time. Great race tonight. And we'll go back to the interview now with Nathan Dowd at third place finish out of nowhere.
Or rather, we're going to be talking to
Joey Haynes.
Haynes.
I'm sorry,
actually.
Joey Haynes. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. So Joey Haynes, who came home in the 5th position. Joey, leading up to the last 2 restarts and also during the first restart, you and Travis Warling were absolutely going door to door over the course of like the last couple of like 10, 15 laps there before that first restart and during that first restart. Talk to me about having those battles with up there and trying to hang on to that top 5 position.
Well, I mean, Travis is a really respected guy in majors, and honestly, he's a fantastic guy to race against. He leaves you enough space that you can race him hard, but you can race him hard. That's the nice part. And I knew he was gonna not give it to me, and we'd kind of had been around each other all race long. We were kind of battling, and I knew I had to get by him. I knew I had just a little bit quicker car, and I was hoping to get back up there with the rest of my teammates, but. Yeah, the end was a little more chaotic than I originally anticipated, I think.
So were you a party to the 4 and 5 wide exiting turns 1 and 2?
I kind of came upon it and didn't know what was happening, but I knew with a bunch of cars lined up behind me that if I got on the brakes, I was going to get run over. So I kind of didn't have much choice but to try and find a hole. And at first I thought I was about to make it through, and someone just clipped the rear of my car as I was getting through, and it spun me right to the wall. And I was like, oh no, I thought I had damage, but fortunately the car held together and we were able to, manage to bring it home for 5th there.
Absolutely. A good finish after being spun right round. Now, next up, we have the Classic Daytona 2.4, which is going to be the Nissan GTP and the Audi GTO. So basically a Camel Series race. What are your thoughts heading into that round? It's quite a different event than this.
Yeah, it's that's the best part about the Major Series, though, is just this variety of tracks and cars that we actually get to take advantage of, and getting to see the Audi 90 GTO and the Nissan GTP car come out is going to be awesome. I think Daytona is a great track for them, and we'll see lots of close racing there, I think, in both classes at the pro level and sportsman level here in Majors.
Absolutely, Joey. Well, is there anyone you want to thank for your top 5 finish today?
I mean, I definitely got to give a big shout out to David and Nate. They put so much work into this setup, and Andrew, obviously, Kevin, Ozzy, everyone on the team did a great job for this race. And I can't help but thank, everyone at Evolve Sim Sports, Pro Racing Ontario. We've got Direct on the car, TNT race promotions. Everyone's just been fantastic this season. It's great to finally be in the top 5 in a pro race, and yeah, just got to thank everyone on the team.
Absolutely.
And of course,
well,
you guys in the broadcast booth.
Oh, thank you. Well, congratulations, Joey, and we look forward to seeing you out for the Daytona 2.4.
Awesome. See you guys there.
All right, that was Joey Haynes, our 5th place finisher, and that's actually going to close us out for the night. We want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, the Majors Garage, and also give a shout out to our charity, which is Stack Up. You can see more about both of them in our description below. Thank you to the team today, Chris, Joe, and Dougie. We also want to make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store. They're listed on the screen here. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race will be at Daytona, as mentioned, the 2.4 Legends. And that's going to be Sunday, October 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts that are being listed here on your screen. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.